I said, plug me in. I got stuff to talk about, damn it. I'll crawl out of my earbuds once a week to give you a show. That's what I do, folks. I do this show for the common man, for the people in despair. I bring this show into the world and I sell it everywhere. The simple truth lies waiting here, folks, for all of you to share. Hold on, I will take you there.
Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. I have to warn you, folks, although you may have already been able to tell by now, I have already been through one grande chai latte from Starbucks to try to fix this, and now I am sitting here huddled over a hibiscus berry ginger concoction, which is basically half honey, because I made the fucking chick dump as much honey as she could into the cup. But my throat is fucked. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. Although I think I do know what happened. I'll go ahead and speculate, because I am a medical professional. I was in a hotel last night, and myself and the lovely Jill, and I cranked the heat up to 81 when I got in there, because I'm in Chicago, and I'm like, fuck this. I don't, dude, it was 81 when I got on the plane, or it was 81 the day before. It was like 66 when I got on the plane in the morning, and then landed, and it was like 24 or something. That 4 makes a difference. 20 or 24. Who in their right mind walks outside and goes, man, it feels like fucking 20 out here? Well, it's 24. All right, well, hold on. I'm going to leave my coat inside, because I didn't realize that. It's very warm. But actually, I lived in the Midwest. They did that kind of shit. When it hit 40, you're like in shorts going, this is perfect. Spring is here. Dude, it's February 1st. Spring is not here. It's a fluke. I don't fucking care. Shorts. But that's people who live here, because they're hardy stock. But I was in the hotel room last night, and something else happened. Well, I'll get to that in just a second. But I'm in the hotel room, and the second we walked in, I cranked the heat up to like fucking 81, and I slept in it and breathed it. And I found this out, folks. During the night, I would wake up. You ever wake up, you get startled awake, or you're dreaming or whatever. I don't dream a lot, and I haven't in a long time. But you'll wake up and you're fully aware of where you are immediately. Has that happened to you? Sometimes you wake up out of a dead sleep and you're fucking zombified. You don't know what's going on. But sometimes you wake up and you're crystal clear, like you're wide awake. This happened to me a few times last night, and it's happened to me recently a lot. I wake up, dudes, get this. This is fucking terrible. I sleep with my mouth wide open. Like, I asked Jill today, I go, hey, did I snore last night? She goes, honey, you don't snore. I said, well, I woke up a couple of times and my mouth is wide open. She goes, yeah, honey, you sleep with your mouth open. I said, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. How the fuck do I sleep with my mouth open and not snore? That seems impossible. I mean, am I breathing? Because, I will tell you this, too. When I wake up with my fucking mouth open, my mouth is as dry as a fucking shirt. Like, I have no idea. It fucking, it tastes like I blew the sand people from the Tuscan Raiders, those motherfuckers, and one of them came sand in my mouth, because Jesus Christ, it is just dry as fuck. And so I said to her, I'm like, hey, so I mean, that's all the time? She goes, well, yeah, when you lay on your back, honey, you sleep with your mouth wide open. And so I said, well, look, I give you permission to put whatever you want in my mouth. And she's like, okay, and laughed. But I will tell you this, I only give that permission to her. And I'm glad that she was the one who tipped me off to it. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, if this happened when I was a kid, God damn, it's a good thing I'm not in a frat. Holy fuck, if I slept there with my mouth open, I'd have the entire senior class's balls dunked into my mouth. That would be fucking terrible. And you know why? Because that's something I need to be awake for. Absolutely. Man, I don't want to sleep through that. God knows I don't want to sleep through that. I can't get teabagged by the entire senior class and sleep it off. I got to be firmly awake for that experience. It's the only way you enjoy it. So my throat is ganked, and as a matter of fact, now I will drink more hibiscus berry tea, and I'll try not to make a noise. It's warm and it's berry-fied. Like I said, I went to Starbucks and got a chai latte. Then I had to drop Jill off at work. And I blazed through the chai latte. And I'm like, I'm going to need something during the actual record itself. So there's a tea place here where she lives. And she, again, I told you she lives basically we live in a snow globe. It's one of those joints where it's like fucking everything is artisanal and they've got specialty shops. And so I went to some duck cafe or some bullshit and I got coffee or tea. I wanted tea. And I just looked at there's a girl behind the counter. She's like 20. I said, hey, my throat's ganked. I need to know what I need to drink. And she's like, well, how about peppermint tea? And I'm like, oh, I go, that sounds awful. Because tea's a bag of dirt. You know that. I fucking hate tea. So I said, I was thinking about getting some fruity concoction and just filling it with honey. She goes, well, that's a way to go. She goes, but I'll tell you what, we have this turmeric ginger tea. Why don't I make that for you? It's good when you're sick. I said, well, I don't think I'm sick. I think my throat's just messed up. She goes, well, let me make it for you, and then you try it and see how it is. And if you don't like it, we'll go a different direction. And I said, all right. So she made turmeric ginger. She said, let it steep a little bit. She filled it with honey. And I picked it up and I drank it. And it tasted like paint. I'm not going to lie. It was like fucking medicine and paint mixed together. I mean, it tasted like all the terrible things you could imagine with a hint of ginger. So that was good. The hint of ginger was not enough to overpower the incredible wood alcohol taste. So I said, I just looked at her. I go, yeah, that's nasty. She goes, I thought it might be. And I go, yeah. I go, look, I don't like tea. I hate it, actually. But I'm looking to actually enjoy this experience. I just need warm liquid that goes down my throat with honey in it. But hopefully it's something that doesn't kill me from my lips to my fucking throat. So we went with hibiscus berry. She brought out the blueberry ruris or ruroy, I don't fucking know, and then hibiscus berry. And she's like, smell these. And the blueberry one smelled like booze. Like it really smelled like it had a fucking alcohol tinge to it. And I said to her, I go, that smells like booze. And she laughed. I don't know. I don't have a tea nose. I don't have a palate for tea. All I know is I got hibiscus berry. And it's actually not bad. Now that it is mellowed out or steeped or whatever you call it, it's not bad. So I got to choke that down. But anyway, my throat's messed up. And you know what a good way to fix your throat is? Talk for 15 minutes about how your throat's messed up. That'll definitely get you a fucking head start on fixing things. We're in a hotel last night. I got to tell you this story because it's fucking. Because we went to the DoubleTree Hotel. I flew into Chicago this time. I happened to find a ticket that was amazing. It was only like $125 to fly one way to Chicago. And Jill's like, man, that's an incredible deal. Why don't you do that? I'll meet you there. I'll pick you up and we'll just go to a hotel and we'll spend the night in Chicago. I said, fantastic. Sounds like fun. So we started looking at Chicago hotels and everything, was $250. And I was getting into town at like 4:45, which would mean we would have to hit rush hour traffic into the city. Probably wouldn't even check in until 6 or 6:30. So she's like, I don't know if I want to deal with traffic because she hates traffic. Dudes, I got to be honest, I have never met, because nobody likes traffic. Let's be honest with ourselves. Nobody likes it. But I have never seen anyone actively hate traffic like Jill. Like she maintains when she moves to California, she will not drive. She told me flat out, she's like, I'm getting a bike or whatever, or you can drive me everywhere. I go, are you? And she's serious. She is not, to this day, she's been home to California, I got to be 8 trips. She's never driven. I've even said to her, hey, you drive, why don't you just drive, like we'll practice drive around the neighborhood. She's like, I can't. I just don't want to. I don't. I mean, she doesn't like driving here, but she's told me flat out, I'm not driving in California, which cracks me up. So she didn't want to deal with the traffic on the way to Chicago, and fucking neither did I, because I'll tell you what, when I landed, there's my girlfriend, the last thing I want to do is, hey, let's spend 2 hours in a car. Fuck that. Let's find a bed. So I said, why don't we find a hotel close to the airport? Then we can just check in there, and we'll find one that has like a hot tub and a pool. So we can just go and relax and hang out for a night. It'll be great. We'll get up in the morning and bail. She's like, that is a fantastic idea. So we sat together, we looked, and we found the DoubleTree in Rosemont, Illinois. It had a hot tub. That was the important part. It's all I cared about. So she said, that's the move. I said, perfect. So I flew, and it was crazy smooth yesterday. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read my text to you folks. Because I flew to town yesterday. And by the way, I have no idea I hope you can still hear me. Hold on, let me find it. She texted me and she's like, hey man, everything's going well. She says, the app says you're scheduled and on time. Awesome. I said, this is going really smoothly. The universe knows we have to be together. I should not have typed that, folks. That's my guess. I probably should have just said, something will happen. Or, hey, let's all cross our fingers. I should have just said, hey, look, a butterfly, and fucking ignored it. Because it was smooth. My flight was smooth. I flew on Virgin American, not Virgin Atlantic. Virgin American, which if you've flown it, you know is the grooviest airline in the sky. Everything is pink and blue, and they got TV, and you can order food. Here's my favorite part about Virgin American. You can order food from your seat. Like, they don't come by with a food cart or whatever the fuck. You have to order your drinks or your food, and they bring it to you. Even the free stuff. So you just punch it in, and then the sky waitress will come over and bring you your stuff. Well, here's the thing. It also has a button where you can order like they had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for $4.50. They had fucking Havarti cheese turkey sandwiches, all sorts of bullshit on there, and drinks. They had specialty cocktails, they had regular booze, and then they had beers, and then they had the free drinks. But you've got a button, and as you can order it to come to your seat, it'll say send to 15F, but there's a button right underneath it that says send to another seat. So if you're on Virgin American and you're like, hey, I think I want that 4-year-old kid to have some vodka, you can fucking shoot it over to him. How perfect is that? And then I hope, like, I didn't want her to do it, but I don't know if they can trace it. Like, I would want to do it and just pay for it and then just have the kid get vodka, and his family's like, who the fuck sent our 4-year-old vodka? And just like whistle and look out the window and pretend it wasn't me, because that'd be fucking hysterical. But it was fun. I said that to Jill. I was like, I told her, I said, it has this button. And she goes, that's great. She goes, it's like you can hit on somebody in the sky with food. And I said, we got to do that sometime. We got to fly on Virgin and then just send somebody an anonymous sky sandwich. How awesome would that be? Send somebody the fucking anonymous sky sandwich and they just look around like, what the fuck? And you just, not us. Nope. Enjoy your Havarti turkey bullshit. It wasn't for me. I love that option. That's just fucking great. So, but the whole thing's, it's just like a flying bar. You know what I mean? There's booze and you can send it to other people. Hey, can I get that person a drink in first class? Whatever the fuck. And it's all pink and blue, like neon lighting. It was, and I like it. Honestly, it's really, and the seats are leather and there's more leg room. It's a really good airline. It's just, it flies to 4 places, you know, so I can't do it. That's why I couldn't, you know, I can't go to Milwaukee on there. Because, come on, it's too groovy to go to fucking Milwaukee. Fuck that. Nobody wants to be there. So I get on Virgin America and everything was going really smoothly. My flight was great. I got my seat. I sat down, threw in my earbuds, listened to some Dragnet, and I had the ESPN on in front of me and watched the same 8 dudes talk about the Super Bowl and deflated footballs over and fucking over again. What the fuck, dudes? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Here's the thing I don't understand. I'm sure this has been covered and I'm going to say it. And by the way, I just bitched about 8 guys talking about this and now I'm going to fucking talk about it. I am an idiot. How mean am I? Unplug your iPod vagina and throw your fucking iPod out the window. Why do I always assume you're in a car? All right, so here's the thing about the footballs. It's just football. Like I've said about steroids, I hope everybody takes steroids, and I will not be happy until 2 outfielders collide and just fucking explode because they're so jacked to the gills on goddamn steroids. That's what I want. Because sports is a human zoo. That's what I watch it for. But just, I have to be honest, man. When I hear about deflated footballs and then they haven't fumbled as much since 2007, and they fucking taped guys before. And then there was a story, an anonymous guy. He didn't want to give his name. This is how the fucking NFL is such an old boys network. This one guy goes, "Hey, one time we played the Patriots in New England, and it was going to be like a snowstorm, and they sprayed their cleats with silicone." He goes, "It's not against the rules, but it's not exactly something they suggest that you do." Well, they did it, and they kicked the shit out of us because we didn't know, and we're falling over the fucking field, and they're making tight cuts. So good for them. That was this guy's attitude was. Good for them. They learned the angle because it's all about angles. It's all about fucking angles. I find angles all the time. I don't know if I told you this at my work. They changed the meal policy. Like you used to be able to eat food. There were certain items you couldn't have, you had to pay for, but the rest of the food was free. Well, now they've limited us to like $15. They're like, you only eat a $15 meal. Well, and that sounds like a lot. I mean, if I worked at Taco Bell and you limit me to $15, forget about it. I'd be fucking eating for hours and hours. But that's not the case in my joint because everything's fucking high priced. So the first day they told me about it, I sat down and I actually started crunching numbers. I got a menu out. I started looking. I started doing fake orders on the register and then deleting them to see how much it would cost. And one of my managers even looked at me and he goes, "Hey, Stephen Hawking, you gonna fucking order lunch or not?" And I laughed, but I went, "Dude, it's all about angles. It's figuring out the angle." So I figured out an angle. I figured out that if you order this lunch special, I can get like a fucking quarter chicken dark with a side, and then you don't care what I fucking order, and some shrimp, and it's $15.10. So I can get exactly what I want for a dime. It cost me something. It used to be free, but I couldn't eat shrimp before because shrimp you had to pay for. But now if I come in under the 15, I'm fucking golden. So I sat down and I figured it out. I'm doing this. I'm carrying the one, and it did. I'm not lying. It took me about 20 minutes to figure out everything, and then I went, "Hey, what about the lunch specials?" And I fucking went in there and did that. And I will tell you this: they're not happy about it. Because once I started to do that, he's just like, "Oh, really? You're doing this?" And then this happened a month ago, and I've been doing it all the time when I work. And the other day, one of the girls I work with looked at me and she goes, "Hey," she goes, you actually tipped everybody off to that." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, now everybody knows that you can order that with the shrimp and it comes in under the number." She goes, "I know at least 6 other people who work here and that's what they order all the time." I said, "Ha ha, exactly. Angles. It's all about fucking angles." So the Patriots are just me ordering lunch. They're finding angles. Now, look, I hate the fucking Patriots. I want them to get a curb stomped this weekend by the fucking Seahawks just because I'm bored of them winning. But you know what? Being bored of them winning and thinking they suck is completely different. They don't suck. They're a fucking amazing organization. They beat the shit out of everybody. They fucking come at you and they look for everything that they can exploit and they do it. That's the thing. They do it. And they take your garbage and they beat you with it. Brandon LaFell? LeGarrette Blount. These are guys who went to other teams and were fucking terrible. LeGarrette Blount was a dude who went to the Steelers, and obviously he didn't practice enough, or he didn't know what the fuck they wanted him to do. And then he got caught with like marijuana, and he's just a fucking dickbag. But I mean, that's all he is. He's just a pro athlete who fucking gets high and does that. And so the Steelers like, we can't handle this anymore, and they cut him. And the Patriots, I think, signed him in 4 minutes, literally 4 minutes, because you know what? Last year he was their fucking wrecking ball. And they let him go because he got a little pricey. The Steelers gave him some fucking money, and then they cut him, and now fucking Patriots scoop him up. The Patriots have Darrelle Revis. And this is a guy who, you know, when he was in Tampa Bay, he was there. It was useless to have him on a bad team. But when you put that fucking guy on the Patriots, it's just like, God damn it, now they can scheme to the other side of the field. It's just, Belichick might be a fucking human test pattern in a hoodie. Just a terrible guy who's monotone and awful. And I will say this, by the way, I don't know fucking Belichick's a terrible guy. He's exactly what you want in a football coach. Ruthless motherfucker who will kill you at the drop of a hat. I am so excited that the fucking Bears went and hired John Fox, and then he brought in Vic Fangio and these other guys, because you know what? We finally have some experience. We finally have some fucking guys who are ready to tool you up. That's the thing. I want a team that's just going to fucking tune you up in football. Look, I like bubble screens as much as the next guy. I like a smoke screen. You know what I mean? I like all of this stuff, but you know what? If you can come in and punch you in the face, that's what I want. And that's what John Fox is going to bring to the Bears. So good. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it works. And that's what the Patriots do. But that's the thing. They throw the ball all over the field, too. They can punch you in the face. They can beat you with finesse. They're just a model organization. I hope the Seahawks drum them. I hope it's a fucking mess. But at the same time, I respect the Patriots because you know what? They take every fucking angle and they get it done. Now, at the same time, I will tell you this. And again, you don't care about my opinion, but so what? This should be the sports podcast I was going to do. Fuck. They're wrong if they deflated the footballs. What I don't understand is why they felt the need to do it, because they were going to fucking stomp that Colts team anyway. Why are you looking for the advantage? And here's the thing they talk about. They're like, oh man, you know what? They were up 17-7 when everybody noticed the footballs. And then when they changed the footballs, they scored 28 unanswered points. So you know what? They would have killed that team anyway. Yeah, they would have. But what we need to take a look at is the previous week against the Ravens when you were down 14 twice. Did you have deflated footballs then, and did it provide an advantage? Should you have even been in the game with the Colts? I have no fucking clue. But the point is, you've opened the window up for people to speculate about this bullshit by doing dumb things like deflating goddamn footballs. Jesus Christ, why? You're good. You're great. You've been great for a long fucking time. You don't need to deflate footballs to be even better, but when you look for angles, sometimes you paint yourself into a corner, and that's what they've done. And they're defiant. They're like, dude, we didn't fucking do anything wrong. We didn't deflate the footballs. Nobody did it. And you can't prove it, because from what I understand, Belichick's son was the ball boy. You think he's going to flip? Fuck that. That kid, he's going to take a pinch, and he's not going to talk. It's going to be all fucking Bronx Tale. That's what's going to happen. And he's going to be fucking welcomed with open arms when he comes back to the Patriots. Hey, there's Super Bowl talk with Mike Schmidt. So we go to this hotel yesterday, the DoubleTree. Well, first, I will tell you this. She was telling me, because we're going to Vegas in a couple of months, and Jill was telling me about Toby Keith. She's been to Vegas like one time, and she went to Toby Keith's Bar and Grill. And the reason she was talking, because all right, here's why I made her breakfast once, and I was cooking breakfast, and I mentioned that my grandmother used to make fried bologna when I was a kid. And her eyes got really wide, and she's like, I love fried bologna. I said, you're kidding me. Because it's one of those things where it sounds so ridiculous, and that's why when I tell it to people, I'm waiting for them to just go, ah. But she's like, no, I love fried bologna. She goes, you know what? You want to know where I had the best fried bologna sandwich in my life? I said, where? She said, Toby Keith's Bar and Grill in Las Vegas. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. She goes, no, it's on the menu. She goes, it's on a roll, like a big soft roll. It's a big chunk of fucking thick bologna, and it's got a tomato. It's got grilled onions on it, and it's got like this mayonnaise. She goes, it's perfect. She goes, I couldn't finish it. It was so gigantic. It was just unbelievably delicious. And I'm like, that sounds great. Because when I go to a fucking restaurant, they got burgers, everybody's got chicken wings, everybody's got mozzarella fucking steaks and all that nonsense. I'm looking for something different. So if sometimes I'll go to a joint, and if they've got like a pork chop sandwich or something, I will get it just because it's different enough from a hamburger. And I figure if it's on the menu, they're doing a good job with it. Now, I will tell you this. Anthony Bourdain recommends you do not do that at all. He's like, if you go to a steakhouse and then they have like a flounder special, ignore it. Because it means they bought the flounder and they can't move it, so they're trying to fucking get rid of it. But the way I see it, I don't think Toby Keith bought a shit ton of bologna and he's trying to force it on his fucking people. He's just got it on there because he's a fucking hick who likes bologna. And I can tell you this about Toby Keith. He is nothing if not an American. Right, folks? We know that. Because when we went to the Toby Keith Bar and Grill yesterday, they actually had freedom fries on the menu. Still. To this day. So if I can tell you two things about Toby Keith, it's he is nothing if not an American, and he is nothing if not a guy who falls for trends from 8 years ago and refuses to change his mind staunchly because he's a conservative and in those boots. He is someone who is stupid enough to stay with the freedom fries thing, and good for you, Toby. And that guy makes a ton of money, and I can't shit on him because you know what? He's fucking rich. And I found out that he makes like $8 million a year just by loaning his name to the grill. It's not like Toby's back there in an apron making me a fucking bologna sandwich. He has loaned his name to the bar and grill, and they use it, and that's what gets people in. Tons of drunk Americans. So, yesterday, she was like, so then I happened to Google Toby Keith, and I went, hey, do you know that there's one of those in Chicago, like near the airport? She's like, we got to go. We're going when I pick you up. I said, great. It's literally right by where we're staying. So she picks me up yesterday. And everything was smooth. I got in on time. She was there waiting for me. We get in the car. And just, it was worth it just to see her. I don't give a fuck. I'll tell you what. I tell you, it's cold when I get off the plane. But the second I see her, I'm the Grinch, man. My heart fucking 5 times. I'm warm all over. So I see her and I'm happy. We get in the car. And I go, so do you want to check into the hotel right away? Or should we go find Toby Keith and eat and then go to the hotel and just fucking relax? She goes, that sounds like a good idea. I said, great, we're going to do it. So we put it in the phone. Try to find, first the DoubleTree's in the phone, then I try to call an audible and go with Toby Keith's, and Toby Keith's is right by there. But I will tell you this, we're staying in this hotel, which is in part of an industrial park, where it's one of those giant strip malls where there's a bunch of twists and turns, you don't know where the fuck you're going, and there's no signage anywhere, but we can see Toby Keith's Bar and Grill like looming over some buildings, but we don't know how to get there. There's no easy way to cut across. So we go into a parking garage, and we pull in, and it turns out it's $13 to park. And I'm like, well, fuck that. I take a ticket and we immediately exit again because I go looking for Toby Keith's parking lot. We have to do like 3 more loops. We're looking, we're changing, we're zooming. We go and take a right, and then I take another right, and then I take another right, and I pull into a lot, and there's Toby Keith. I'm like, finally, holy grail. All I saw, I saw a big hat, and I heard a guy hiccup. I'm like, that's it. That's Toby Keith's Bar and Grill. So I pulled in and I go to park, and a guy waves at me frantically, hey, hey, hey. And I pull up, and he goes, hey, it's valet, it's $10. I go, dude, you got to park? You got to pay to park everywhere in this fucking place? He goes, well, no, go in the parking garage. He didn't say go back. Jill did. Because he goes, go in the parking garage, take a right, take another right, and just park up there, and then they'll validate when you eat. And I rolled up the window, and she looked at me, and she goes, honey, we should have parked in the parking garage. I said, well, yes, I know. We were in there, but $13. I didn't want to take that risk, because again, as you know, I don't want to fuck things up. So the last thing I want to do is take a risk on getting in there and paying fucking $13, and then it turns out, hey, it was supposed to be free 5 feet away. Because that's how I do things. So, we go into the parking garage, we go up to the fucking 4th floor, and we find a door, but there's no skyway, and then there's an elevator, but again, there's no fucking signage in this joint whatsoever. And as I'm walking, I forget the validation ticket to get it fucking validated, so I gotta run back to the car, and then a woman stops her car, and she's like, hey, is the Sugar Factory around here? And in my head, I'm like, no, because this isn't fucking Nevada, and there are no brothels in Rosemont, Illinois. The Sugar Factory? Are you serious? I thought it was a nightclub. I didn't know what the fuck it was, but it's only 5 at night last night, or 6 at night. So I looked at her, I go, look, I'm as lost as you are. I have no clue. She's like, damn it, and drives away. So I get the ticket, I meet Jill, and we have to hop in an elevator. The elevator goes down to 1. We get back out, and we're back in this industrial area. So we walk to the end of a hallway, and then we're back in a, like, truly a dark alley. There's no lighting, there's no signage, and there's a dumpster. And it's just this long Hitchcock hallway of an alley. And I look at her, and she looks at me, and we've watched far too many murder shows to even think about taking that as a shortcut. Because I know if I open the top of that dumpster, there's going to be nothing but bodies of people who didn't know where to fucking park looking for the Sugar Factory. So I am moving on. She looks at me, we both shrug, and we go back in. And we walk to the other end of the enclosed hallway, and we walk out the door. And then we're just out in the fucking biting cold. Literally walked into a wind tunnel. So it's just in our faces, and we come around the corner, and we see, she's like, this is where Toby Keith's Bar and Grill is. We saw it from the street. And I said, I guarantee you this will not be an entrance, because that would be far too easy. We come around the corner, and literally, I think the sign actually said, I guarantee you this is not an entrance. Like, I could not have been more spot on right in my life. But we both laughed, and then we continued around. And I will tell you this, that's, she does that for me. She makes me laugh at that kind of stuff. I mean, look, I'm not a psychopath, but you know me, I get frustrated. I'm like, I can't believe this. Why can't I find where I'm going? What's happening? Where the fuck am I supposed to be? I'm going in loops. I'm driving. But she takes the edge off, man. She makes it light. And I need that. And you know what she doesn't need? A nutbag who's just like, fuck, where are we? You know, so I try to temper that part of me. But she takes my hand and everything's okay. As long as she's holding my hand, everything's fine. So we walk around the corner and we walk into a wind tunnel, and there's an ice rink where guys are playing hockey. And I was like, actually, that looks like fun. If it wasn't if it was like if the stands were enclosed, I would totally go and watch this fucking game. Because you just hear that noise, the noise of skates on ice and sticks hitting pucks. Dude, I fucking love live hockey. So we come around the corner and we're walking down a hallway and there's a fucking ice rink, and then we turn around the corner and there's a Palm Tavern or something, and it's like, stop in to get warm. And I was like, and then I saw the door for Toby Keith's, but part of me was still like, I'm gonna stop into the Palm Tavern just to get warm for like 5 seconds because the sign commanded me to. But we kept walking. Oh Jesus, that was a Peter Brady. Sorry, hold on, time for some hibiscus tea. Let's knock that back. It's getting cold quick, but it's still warm. That's good. You care, by the way, about my tea status. What's your tea status? So we come around the corner, and I will tell you this too, right next door to Toby Keith's Bar and Grill is Zany's Comedy Club in Rosemont. And they had a show last night, the Tuesday 10, but in my head, I was like, if I could walk in there and finagle a spot, I would do it, but that's not going to fucking happen because Zany's has no interest in me anymore. And nobody knows who the fuck I am. I'm going to walk in, hello, Chicago comedians. I was a Chicago comedian 17 years ago. Put me on stage. I promise I'm still funny. Watch me go bomb. So instead, we go into Toby Keith's. Then we walked in the door. Now, again, I'm reminding you, I have not been there. I don't know anything about Toby Keith's Bar and Grill. Jill has been in the one in Vegas. She told me it was awesome. Lights and dancing and craziness. So we walk in the door, and the first thing I notice is all of the room in this place. It is just wide and expansive. It just looks like an airplane hangar that is full of dullards, because it's one of those industrial parks, and everyone has that sad face that nobody's there. Nobody said, hey, let's go to Toby. The only 2 people there besides me and Jill, I'm sorry, I apologize. The only people there who see this as a destination are me and Jill. Everybody else is from the surrounding hotels, and they're just looking for something to eat that was close by. That's it. Nobody's like, fuck, we got to go to Toby Keith's Bar and Grill, except for Jill and I. Everybody else is just like, let's go somewhere warm. That was it. And they walked right past the Palm Tavern. They also were not commanded by the sign. So we walked in, and there's got to be 15 yards from 30 feet from the front entrance to where the chicks are, the fucking, I think they're called the whiskey girls, the hostesses. But we walk up, and they don't make any effort to greet us really. And then when we get close enough, I walk 15 yards. They don't even make eye contact. They don't look at me. They don't say anything. Then when I get there and actually put my hand on the counter, it's almost like it trips a switch for them. They both look like with robots. Welcome to Toby Keith's. Can we help you? 2? Yes, 2, please. And the girl grabs the menus, and she comes out from behind the little thing. And I see then one of the hooks of Toby Keith's. It's a lot like that tilted kilt or twisted kilt. What is it? I think it's the tilted kilt. Anything with a TK, that's what it is. It's Toby Keith and tilted kilt. They demean their women. Hooters should be called like Hooters Top Cat. I don't fucking know. There's no K in cat. Couldn't think of it off the top of my head. But instead, the girl comes around, and she is wearing a tight black tank top and cut off Daisy Duke shorts and boots. So that's the deal, obviously. That's the uniform that the whiskey girls are supposed to wear, and that's part of the charm or the atmosphere of the Toby Keith's Bar and Grill. I can tell you there is absolutely zero charm in the 2 whiskey girls who were up front, and the only atmosphere in the place is hovering above the gigantic sadness that everybody is exhibiting and spitting into the air as they sit there, because it was pretty grim. I will not lie. It was just so we get a table, and I even said to Jill, I go, I recognize this feeling. She goes, this is really different. Like I almost wanted to leave when we walked in. I said, well, we can still go. She's like, well, no, it's okay. We're here now. She said, but looking around, this is just like, Vegas was alive, and it was, a lot of noises, a lot of dancing and music. It was pretty crazy. I said, well, yeah, it's Vegas. I will tell you, I didn't expect any different from this one. I thought it would be a honky tonk and a fucking bull and all that nonsense, because it's Toby Keith. That's what he does. He's like, hey, let's all get drunk and stupid and pretend that we have accents and chew on hay. Part of me wanted to give a Muslim name to see if they would even seat me. But we went and sat down, and she's like, yeah, this is pretty depressing. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I go, I have done comedy in these places a million times. And it's so funny. I find myself saying that to her because she knows me from the show. She didn't know me when I worked the road and did all that stuff. So she knows me from Internet Mike, who rents his own theater and goes out and does stuff. She doesn't know that, there was a period in time where I was on the road for fucking Ken Muller and I was on the road for John Yoder. And I had, I would play certain clubs. I'd play Giggles and Dr. Grins and all that stuff. But at the same time, I would sometimes play the River Tavern or some nonsense where you showed up and it was 8 people drinking and playing darts and you had to just sit there and wait for the show and you had to stare at them. They knew you weren't from that town. They would see you there and they'd go, oh, well, fuck, that's got to be the comedian. And then I'm sitting there going, fuck, I got to make these people laugh in an hour. And they'd be drinking and they'd be eating like, fucking toasted bullshit out of a broiler and just you knew it was going to be death or you knew it wouldn't be fun. And this is one of the things that I did to myself. When I did stand up on the road, I should have recognized it as fun and the opportunity to go out and learn and be good and do that. But I made it against myself against the audience. So I would wind up in this almost antagonistic relationship with people rather than thinking, hey, I'm here to entertain them. We're all going to have a good time. Instead, I would look at it like this fucking arduous task. And I was this Sisyphean? God, I couldn't even say it. Sisyphean figure who had to push his boulder up to the fucking top of the mountain and watch it roll the fuck back down again. And I wasn't that guy. I was a middle act on the road. What the fuck? Stop your fucking Hamlet drama, dude. Just make people laugh and get the fuck out of here. But instead, I made it way harder than it had to be. And I miss it. I won't lie. But whatever. Hopefully I'll be doing it again. Hopefully I'll be doing that again, middling on the road. Jesus Christ. I'll tell you what, if I said that to you 15 years ago, if I went, man, hopefully I'll be middling on the road again, I would have burned myself for a witch. Fuck that. Hopefully I'll be middling on the road again. Jesus, that's awful. All right. So we get into Toby Keith's and we sit at a table and we get our menus. And I will tell you one thing that Toby Keith's, look, I'm not sure about their recipes. I'm not sure about what they're known for as far as like wonderful dishes other than the fried bologna sandwich and their freedom fries, which are still on the menu ridiculously. But I can tell you this, here is one thing that I can guarantee you Toby Keith's is known for. They are known for adjectives. Because everything on this menu is spicy or creamy or covered and smothered. And I mean, it's like someone stole a Waffle House menu and red penned a lot of it and then still just put in like 2-syllable words instead of 1-syllable. I mean, it's just, and it all looked, I should tell you this, I was fucking starving. So it all looked good. They had like fried pickles and a cornbread dressing. And then they had, pulled pork and I mean, all this fucking shit and meatloaf. And I'm like, all right, good. I knew we were getting the bologna sandwich and we were splitting it too. Cause that's another thing is Jill and I have been, the last few times I've seen her, she will go out to eat and she's like, I can't even move, man. And she's like, I don't even know why. So now we used to split things. Now we're guaranteeing splitting things now. From now on, I refuse to let her even get her own food. I'm like, no, you have to split this. So they brought the menu and I was looking at stuff. And I was like, well, they got fried pickles. They got this. And she goes, well, honey, I thought we're getting the bologna sandwich. I go, we are. And she goes, well, do you want something else? Get it. She goes, but I don't think I do. And I go, no, we're splitting the bologna sandwich. It's fine. So we're sitting at the table and, she goes to use the restroom and I start to look at the menu and people start drifting in their winter coats and sitting down and they're quiet and they're sad. And some of the whiskey girls are on. And I will tell you this, the whiskey girl who seated us, she looked like she belonged in the outfit. All right. The blonde who worked at the hostess counter, she looked like she might wear it in real life, quite frankly. The rest of the whiskey girls, I think are named so because you're going to need some whiskey to actually take on fact that they were girls. You have to take it on faith that they were girls, and you're going to need a lot of fucking whiskey to do it because let's put it this way. If you're going to wear a black tank top and Daisy Dukes, you should probably have a little less back fat than the crew at the Rosemont Toby Keith Bar and Grill. And that's not a judgment on them, okay? Be who you want, retain the shape you wish to have, but if you're going to be in a job that requires you to wear a costume like that, you should realize you need to kind of look good in a costume like that. I mean, and then maybe that's on the people who hire them. I have no idea. And again, I'm sure it's sexist to say this, but there was a poor girl who was wearing a tank top that was on her like a sausage casing, and her back fat was squeezed out of the fucking armholes, and the Daisy Dukes were I mean, they just. Even the strings had crawled back into the jeans because they didn't want to hang next to those legs. All right, that's just a tragedy, and it's true. So those whiskey girls are waiting on people, and I'm sitting at the table, and Jill's in the restroom, and a waiter comes over. I guess he was a whiskey boy. But everybody else has a whiskey girl, and for some fucking reason, my table, me, and I'm alone. Like when I go with Jill places, I'm getting used to her getting gawked at. And let's put it this way, I will never get used to that, but it happens, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. I got a couple of those. But sure enough, this guy Alex comes over to just me. Now I'm alone. I'm a dude. Like you would think I'm prime candidate for whiskey girl, right? You should send a whiskey girl to my table because I'll tip like a motherfucker because obviously I'm trapped in some hotel here in the industrial area. Or then maybe they go the other way. Maybe they figure I'm a solo dude who's there and staying in a hotel and he's going to just do nothing but come in and drink and hit on the whiskey girls and they're used to that. I don't fucking know. All I know is I'm alone and Alex comes over. And again, you know, when if you told me, hey man, you went to Toby Keith's and the whiskey girls were working and you got Alex as your waitress, I would be like, yeah, because I would think it was like a stripper chick because Alex is a great stripper name for a girl. But no, Alex was a nondescript Jewish chunky male who came over and he was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I know you're wondering how I knew he was Jewish, and it's because when he came over to me, he handed me a copy of the Watchtower. Are they even Jewish? I have no idea. Um, Maybe he's a Jehovah's Witness. Is that what he is? He's a Jehovah's Witness. He combines them. He's a mashup guy. That's what he is. He's like a girl talk of religions. He's a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm at the table and he comes over to wait and I'm like, just need two waters now because I didn't know if Jill wanted a beer. So I'm sitting there, I'm studying the menu, and Jill went to the restroom. Now, granted, this fucking Toby Keith's it's like the Astrodome with tables in it. It's fucking huge. There's so much unused space. Like, I don't know if they're having square dancing or fucking line dancing or Keith himself. And I guess they figured they needed room for all the hats and belt buckles. That's the only thing I could figure out because it was just so expansive and so gigantic. Because you get 10 of those dudes in the place, and all of a sudden you can't move because you're bumping into fucking bronze and chrome and walking into a 10-gallon hat. I don't want that shit. So maybe they kept as much room as possible so you wouldn't be bumping into cow punchers all goddamn day. But I'm sitting at the table. Jill goes to the restroom, and I notice she's gone, man. And I mean, she's gone an inordinate amount of time for a trip to the restroom. And I'm waiting, and I actually kind of glance at my phone to see the time, and I keep finding myself catching glances toward the back of the restaurant. Now, again, all I do with Jill is I watch Murder Book. I should say all I watch with Jill. It's not all I do with Jill. As you can hear, obviously we go out to fancy places like Toby Keith's. But all I watch with Jill are shows like Murder Book or Web of Lies or Snapped or Unraveled, like all these fucking crime shows. And always someone's getting murdered and buried in somebody's backyard under a fire pit, or somebody's being spirited away and never seen again. So I have my radar on because Jill is tiny. She's 5 foot something else and she's like 98 pounds, and anybody could just fucking scoop her up and run away. And she's loud and she's tough and she's catfight Jill and she can be a badass. But if you're 5 foot tall and 98 pounds and two guys want you to go somewhere, you're going somewhere. You might be loud about it and hopefully I can catch them, but that's why I always tell her, I'm like, watch out. So I keep stealing glances toward the restrooms and I notice there's an exit sign there as well. So I'm sitting there with a menu and I'm waiting for her. I'm looking at Alex. I'm watching the sad whiskey girls. And I'll tell you what, if I was going to show up at Toby Keith Bar and Grill in Rosemont and kidnap anybody, it would have been one of the whiskey girls until I got to look at them. And then I would have turned on a heel, gone away by the ladies' room and waited for somebody like Jill to come by, speared her out the exit and thrown her into the back of my van. And I would have never seen her again. Or I would have seen her because I stole her. So I actually started looking and in my head, I crafted a scenario where two dudes were lurking by the exit and scooped her up and ran away. Like, I mean, and I'm pathetic. I know it's just silly that I'm always tuned into that. I always think bad things are going to fucking happen, but I'm on alert. I'm ready for it. I just think that shit's going to happen. I don't know why, but I do. So I'm looking back, I'm waiting, I'm thinking, I'm wondering, I don't know where she is. And Alex comes and visits me a second time and he's like, you ready? You waiting on somebody? I'm like, I'm waiting. I think, I hope, we'll see. So he books and I'm sitting there. And finally, she'd been in the restroom. It was probably about 10 minutes, which is, that's a long trip to the restroom in a restaurant. And I finally see her out of the corner of my eye. I see her start walking, and I look at her, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. But I also don't want to say anything like, why were you in the restroom so long? Because then you're just like this weird fucking hovering possessive idiot. So she sits down, and she goes, you're not going to believe this. She goes, I was in the restroom, and they think they're being fancy. So they have this fancy sink it's like a cowboy sink, which, by the way, I love that phrase. I don't know what that means, but she said it. It's like a cowboy sink. And I go, okay, and she goes, well, it's chrome. And there's a trick of the light where you think that it's flat, but it's really not. It's like a dip surface, and and so I put my purse down, and my purse slid into the sink. I said, "You're kidding me?" She goes, "No." She goes, "And it dumped out." She goes, "That's why." She goes, "That's why I was in there so long." She goes, "All my purse just dumped out into the goddamn sink." She goes, "I got my phone in there. I don't want to get my phone wet. It's just, I got my iPod. All of this stuff just dumps out. So I got to scoop it up and try to make sure it's all okay. I'm drying stuff off." I said, "Is everything all right?" She goes, "Honestly, I just threw it all in the purse. I hope it's okay." I go, "Damn." I go, "Did you have the sink on?" She goes, "Well, luckily I had just turned it on when it slid in, so I was able to stop it." But she said, "It's weird. It's like, I don't even know why they have it. It's like a cowboy sink." So I loved it. I didn't know what it meant. So, Alex came, and Jill needed a beer after that, so I got her a PBR in the can. And then I said, "Look, we're just getting the fried bologna sandwich, and we're splitting it." He's like, "Oh, good choice." And Alex books. And by books, I mean he took 45 steps to the register to ring us in, and then he took another 104 steps to go put the order in. Because, again, I cannot possibly exaggerate the square footage of Toby Keith's Bar and Grill. Have you ever seen Toby Keith? He's like 6'8". I would say that this floor plan of this restaurant is roughly the same size as the amount of space in his hat. That's what I would guess. If you've seen Toby Keith, take his hat off and turn it upside down, and that's the floor plan for the restaurant. It's exactly the same square footage. So we're sitting there and we're talking, we're touching base, and she's telling me about that, and we're just, noodling around, and people are getting their orders, and we're kind of marveling at the sadness around us because people are just kind of staring into space. There is a couple that sits across from us in a booth. And they sit across from one another in the booth. And I should tell you, again, the booths are gigantic. The whole place is just overly huge. It's too big. They did too much with Toby Keith's Bar and Grill. But you know why? Because they even added a grill. Could have just been Toby Keith's Bar. You don't need to have a grill, but what the hell? But these two people, it was so funny. Jill just goes, "Look at them." And it was two people, and they were on their phones. And Jill notices that right away whenever we go out anywhere. There will be couples. We were at the sushi bar. There were couples. They're just on their phones. They don't speak to one another. They don't even look at one another. They immediately dive into their phones. And she's just like, "That's terrible. I don't know why people are like that. Why would people do that?" I said, I don't know. I can't tell you. She goes, "I want to see what they ordered because look how skinny those people are." And dudes, I'm not gonna lie, and the booth is comically large, but they were really tiny. It was like putting a toothpick into a cereal bowl. That's how fucking small they looked. And they're sitting across one another. And I told Jill, I laughed because I go, whenever I see two people like that on the phone, I like to pretend that they're talking to one another. I like to give them the benefit of the doubt that somehow they're texting one another, but with dirty stuff they can't say out loud. She goes, "Yeah, honey, I don't think that's happening." I go, "Don't ruin my fucking idea. That's what I want." And that seemed to be far too insistent, and I then backed down. I didn't do it that way. My throat. So we're waiting for the food. And then Alex comes out, he gets another table, and he's taking care of them. And then the whiskey girls are shambling about. And that's the only, because they even look, their feet are sore in their boots. Like, they don't even want to be in the costume. This poor girl. I don't think she's listened to country music in her life except at work. She's got a pierced nose. I mean, it was just a mess. And again, just this gigantic pit of sadness. And they had a stage in the back. I should tell you that when we walked in the front, it was saying that they have like live stuff on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And on January 8th, they had the comedy jukebox. And they're right next door to Zanies, which I was like, why are you taking on Zanies? Why are you putting on comedy against their fucking comedy? That seems ridiculous. But I guarantee that they wouldn't charge. And then they would put the comedy on in the back of the room for free, but leave the country music on in the front of the room. And people would be eating and trying to listen to some guy fucking flop sweat his way through a set. Oh, Christ, what a mess. I've done it. I've lived my whole life doing it. I don't want to do it again, but I have to, because that's how you pay your dues, I've been told. So we're waiting for them to bring the food. And about 20 minutes goes by. And I look at Jill finally, and I go, "Hey, look, I know this is a great bologna. How long does it take to make a fucking bologna sandwich?" And she goes, "I know, I'm thinking the same thing." And I go, "But it just seems weird. We got one entree, and we're splitting it. Where is this bologna sandwich? My God. I mean, just this weird mystery of how long does it take to make a fucking bologna sandwich?" So finally, I mean, it had to be 25 minutes from the time we ordered it. I see him walking on the horizon. I just see his Jufro come over the horizon, and I'm waiting. I'm like, "Oh, this must be my bologna sandwich." And then he keeps walking, and it's funny. He actually is running the sandwich over, and it looks like he keeps starting over. You ever seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail? when Sir Lancelot is on his way to slaughter everybody at the goddamn wedding. That's what it was like. It was just, I kept hearing a drum roll, and I would just see Alex walking with my bologna sandwich, and I'd be like, I think he's coming, and then he'd come over the horizon. Oh my God, my bologna sandwich is finally here, and then he would just fucking come over, and it just kept repeating because it was the biggest building I've ever been in my life. So huge. As he gets closer, I see the bologna sandwich in his hand, and I do not see a roll. I should say this. It said it came on garlic toast on the menu. The roll has been nixed out. So he comes over and he puts it down in front of us. He's like, hey, here you go, folks. Do you guys need anything more to drink? And Jill is taken aback by the presence of this entree, and she's staring at it. So she does not answer Alex. And I go, Alex, I think we're good. And he goes, you need another beer? You need more? I go, hon, you need another beer? She doesn't answer me. She's still looking at the sandwich. And I said, no, I think she's good because she's got half a beer left. If we need something else, we'll get it. I'm good for water. He goes, terrific. Oh, let me get these out of your way. And Alex, fastidious Alex, reaches over on my table. This is so bizarre. He goes, I brought you a second plate in case you want to use it to split this. And he goes, let me take care of this for you. And he reaches and he takes the tiniest straw wrapper that was on the top of my straw, and also the little sticker that wraps up your napkin and your silverware. You know, the thing you have to peel off? It's like it's kind of like gummy and it sticks. It has an adhesive on it. I had one of those, and because Jill had not unwrapped her silverware. But he literally moved two things and goes, let me take these for you. And he picked them up like almost, he should have pulled out tweezers. That's how delicately he removed this refuse from my table. And it was nothing. It was just two tiny balls of paper. And I was like, I laughed because I was like, how anal is fucking Alex? Anal Alex. Now see, there's the name of a whiskey girl. Get her on board. But he was so anal, and he just picked them up, and he's like, thank you, enjoy your meal. And he walks away, and I'm looking at the sandwich, and I'm looking at Jill, and she's still looking at it. And he walks away, and she looks up at me, and she just goes, honey. I said, what? She goes, this is totally different. And she says it in her Wisconsin accent, this is totally different. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, honey. I said, what? She goes, I'm so sorry I brought you here. I said, why? She goes, because it's terrible. And I just started laughing. I could not stop laughing. She said, because it's terrible. I go, what do you mean? We haven't even bitten it yet. She goes, honey, look at it. And I will tell you this. She was not wrong. Because for $10, they brought us a fucking bologna sandwich that you could make at your house. I mean, there was, I expected it to be some like artisanal beef bologna and like hacked off in a giant piece, and then it said it had herb mayo and it had American cheese. So I knew it was going to be like kind of crafty Velveeta breakfasty, which is fine. But then it was on garlic toast. I mean, it sounded good. It was different than what she described, but it still sounded good. She takes the toothpick out of it, and the only thing missing from my childhood was a cup of chicken noodle soup and a blanket. I mean, it was not a $10 sandwich. It was like, because again, I will tell you this, it said thick cut bologna on, and look, I can't believe I'm bitching about a bologna sandwich. If you order a bologna sandwich in a restaurant, you should pretty much get bent over, right? But I was told it was going to be a great one. She said it was really good. And also, if you've got the balls to charge $10 fucking for a bologna sandwich, you got to whore that thing up a little bit. Throw some rouge on there. Put a goddamn skirt. You know what? Tell you what, put that bologna sandwich in a pair of cutoffs and a black tank top. It's worth $10 fucking. Otherwise, it's just a goddamn bologna sandwich. And I fell into Toby Keith's fucking trap. Because it wasn't even garlic toast. It may have been Texas toast. And the only reason it was Texas toast is because it maybe was driven through Amarillo once on the back of a truck, because it had no Texas flavor to it. It was a little thicker bread, I suppose. And then it had just regular mayo, and it had onions, but I expected like kind of crispy grilled white onions, but it was more like caramelized chopped up onions that you could tell had been pre-caramelized and just thrown on with a sandwich. I mean, it was just a fucking mess. And again, if you order a bologna sandwich in a fucking restaurant, suck it. That's your problem. But if you advertise, that's the dichotomy, folks. If you order a bologna sandwich in a restaurant, you know what you're getting. But if they advertise a fancy bologna sandwich, then you got to assume you're getting something better. But they fucking lured us in, and for $10, they gave me a sandwich that I could have made at home for $2. Fucking $2. And fuck your freedom fries. You know what? I could fucking find those on the ground somewhere too. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't like pissed, But Jill was pissed. She was fucking pissed because she's like, honey, she goes, this place alone is terrible. I should have known. We should have left the second we walked in. And I go, honey, it's okay. We'll be fine. She's like, no, she goes, it's fine. We'll eat this. I go, do you want me to send it back? She goes, no. What's that going to prove? I go, I guess it's a point. And she goes, well, let's just eat it. But I mean, she goes, I'm pissed. She goes, I can't believe that this is like this. It's totally different. And look, it's not unheard of that somewhere that you've been to in Vegas would be different somewhere else. But this thing was just, like I said, just a pit of despair. It was so fucking terrible. So we split the sandwich. And I bit it and I laughed because I looked at it and it said thick cut bologna was seared. Dude, this fucking bologna wasn't seared. It was bologna. They threw it on the grill. They gave it a couple of flips, and then that was it. They were done. And I will tell you this, it was bologna right out of a fucking package. There were 2 pieces of bologna on the sandwich. That was the thing, not even like 4 pieces of bologna in like a deli-type sandwich. It was 2 pieces of bologna, 2 Kraft singles, some mayonnaise, a fucking part of a white onion, and this thick bread. $2 fucking tops at my house. Give me a fucking break. $10, you fucking humps. And so then I'm trying to cheer Jill up, and I go, you know what? I'll tell you what. This sandwich, it might not be as good as it once was, but maybe it'll be as good once as it ever was. And she's like, I can't believe you know a Toby Keith song. I go, it's the only one I actually liked. I've heard a couple of them, and I think they're terrible. But that one, I must admit, I really liked that song because I liked the sentiment in it. Oh, terrible. I like a Toby Keith song. Yes, kill me. But we ate the sandwich and just, it was misery. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't $10. If I got that for $2, I'd be happy. $10 fucking dollars, you're kidding me. It should be on the kids menu. Honestly, sans onions. It should just be one of those things you serve kids. That's how bad it was. It was literally like something off of a kids menu. The only thing they did to make it adult was throw onions on it, and and my bread was burnt. I should tell you that. The corner of the bread was burnt. And then I said to Jill, I go, and they burned the bread. And then she goes, well, do you want to switch, honey? I don't mind burnt. I go, no, I like burnt bread. It's fine. I don't mind burnt toast a little bit, but it's funny that you would let this walk out of your kitchen for $10. You're selling me the fucking Cadillac of bologna sandwiches. You know what you gave me? The bologna sandwich of bologna sandwiches. Fuck this. And you burned it, you dumb fuck. So then that made me think maybe Toby Keith really was back there doing the cooking. I mean, he's a singer. If anybody's going to fuck up a bologna sandwich, it's a guy who slept on buses for the past 18 years. So we ate it, we left, found our way to the car. Oh, and by the way, I should say, as we walked out, we turned the corner and we're walking. Right outside of Toby Keith's Bar and Grill, not lying, the Sugar Factory. Literally right there when you turn the corner. It's a candy house. It's like a candy shop. It has all fancy candies in it and stuff. And I even looked at Jill, I go, you want to go into the Sugar Factory? She goes, it's just chocolate. We've got chocolate. I'm like, all right. She just wanted to get the fuck out of there because she was so despondent at Toby Keith. So we found our car, got to the hotel. And then we had to park. And I pulled into the hotel itself. And I went to the front. And it had valet parking. So I was waiting for a guy to come out. And then there was a sign next to the Doubletree Hotel parking that said Gibson's valet parking with an arrow. So I wondered if that meant I was supposed to go to Gibson's to get my car valet parked or if I was supposed to wait. I didn't know. So instead I just said, Jill, stay here. I got out of the car. I went inside. And there was JoJo, the attendant. I said, hey, JoJo, are you the valet guy? He goes, yeah. Are you a guest? I said, yeah. Can I park somewhere without using you? He goes, absolutely. He goes, there's a parking garage right over there. I go, how much is it a day? He said, $13. I said, okay. I go, that's fine. So I walked out. I went over to the lot that he pointed at. And also, I should tell you this, optimally, I would valet the car. Oh, I should say I asked him how much valet was a day, and he said 28. So it's a $15 savings to park into the garage. 13 seemed high, and 13 seemed to be the going rate for parking in fucking Rosemont. But he did say 13 was that, but 28 to valet. So I went out to my car, I went over to the lot, and I went to pull in, and it had tickets, and it said parking for hotel guests, $25. And I looked at Jill and I go, that's wrong. The guy told me it was 13. She goes, well, the sign says 25. I go, I know. I said, but I don't want to take a chance of taking a ticket and going in there and parking. And then in the morning they tell us it's fucking 25. That doesn't make any sense. I go, if valet is 28 and parking is 25, that motherfucker can park my car. Because you know what? $3 means I don't have to walk in the cold. She goes, honey, I'm with you. So I backed up. I went back over to the Doubletree. JoJo did not make his way out into the cold because he is a valet guy who likes to stay warm, apparently. To him, it's much more preferable to not be chattering his teeth than it is to be making cash. And I learned that because then I went over to the Gibson's guys and I go, hey, do you guys do valet parking for the Doubletree? And he goes, no, only for Gibson Steakhouse. I said, great. He goes, there is a guy there working. And I said, well, I went into him and he told me that I should park in the parking garage. He goes, what? I go, yeah. I asked about valeting, and he said it was more, and I should park in the garage. He goes, maybe he doesn't like money. I said, exactly. So I got back in my car, and I went and I pulled into the hotel lot, and I said, well, if it's 25, we'll talk to him at the desk and tell him JoJo said it was 13. So I pulled in, and there's 3 hotels there. There's a Hilton, there's an Embassy Suites, and a DoubleTree. We pulled in, it said Embassy Suites parking, but then there was a small sign that said DoubleTree guests only with an arrow. So we pulled the ticket and we went inside. Then we were trying to find a skyway. They said there was a skyway across JoJo said there was a skyway across the hotel. There was no skyway that we could find. And again, maybe I went to the wrong place, but dude, then you got to fucking tell me where the skyway is, because we went and parked. We walked into the elevators. We took the elevators down, and we were just down by where our car was. Like we were right by the shuttle buses, and it was freezing, and so we had to walk all across 2 fucking parking lots to go into the DoubleTree. We walked in to check in, and as I approached the desk, I noticed a guy behind the counter who looked like a drug dealer from 1989. He had one of those loud, like it was a yellow shirt with a pattern on it and a tie that collided with it. It wasn't even really, I wouldn't even say it was like a match, and I wouldn't say that it was a mismatch. I would say it was a fight. I would say his shirt and his tie were at odds and staring at each other like gunfighters in the Old West, waiting for see who's going to draw, because it was fucking bad. And he had this, he had hair like Patton Oswalt, but it was more curly on top, and it was kind of shaved on the sides. I mean, he literally looked like, I used to know a guy named Joey, and this is going to be, I didn't even know why I'm fucking telling you this. I knew, but all right, because here's why. I knew a guy named Joey in 1987 who looked just like this guy. So, and honestly, if I was to say to you, this dude looked like a guy named Joey from 1987, I guarantee you know exactly what that fucking guy looked like. Just the fucking tie and kind of the pushed up blazer sleeves. I mean, it was just a fucking mess. So we go walking up to the counter, and he goes, hey, can I help you folks? And I said, yeah. I said, we're checking in. And he looks at Jill, and he goes, oh, you're checking in. Terrific. Can I have the name on the reservation? I said, yeah. And he's staring at Jill. And he's not talking to me at all. I'm talking to him, but he's looking right at her. And he's staring like into her eyes. And I said, hey, we got a problem, man. We went and parked in the garage over there. And he goes, yeah. And he doesn't look at me. And I said, and your valet guy said it was $13, but the sign said 25. And he goes, well, where'd you park? And I said, over by the, right over in the Embassy Suites, the hotel parking. He goes, oh yeah, well, you're in the Embassy Suites parking. And he's still looking at Jill. I said, great. I said, but the sign says 25. Your guy told me 13. And then he finally looks at me and he goes, well, if you're in the Embassy Suites, it's going to be 25. I said, great. Your guy told me to park there and it was 13. And I'm not getting mad. I will tell you this because, again, Jill does not like me getting mad. She doesn't like aggression. She doesn't like rage. Which is, as I've said before, I don't know how she wound up with me, but she did because she loves me. But I'm trying to stop getting angry in those moments. So he says, well, yeah, if you're over there, it's going to cost you $25. I go, well, I'll just go move the fucking car. And he goes, well, no. He goes, I'll take care of it. It's supposed to be 13 for us, but it's 25 over there. I said, great, but your guy told me it was 13, and he told me where to park. I pulled the ticket, and I parked there. He goes, yeah, but if you're on the Embassy Suite side and not the DoubleTree side, it'll be 25. I go, why? If I have a DoubleTree room key, it's going to say the same thing. And he goes, well, yeah, but you're on their side, so they should charge you. I said, look, I just want to park or move the car, whatever you want me to do. And he immediately looks at Jill, and he goes, what's the name on the reservation? And I said, Bublets. And he goes, oh, okay, Jill? And I go, yeah. And he looks at her and he goes, okay, Jill, I just need a photo ID and I need a card for incidentals. It's prepaid. And he won't look at me. And I go, hey, look, I'm just going to go move the fucking car. And he goes, no, you don't have to move the car. I'll take care of it. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, I'll charge you 13. I'll work. He goes, if you swipe the room key, it'll be 25. But if you put it in the DoubleTree slot, it'll be 13. And I went, so basically it's taken care of. All you're just, because again, in my head, he's just scolding me in front of Jill to make me look stupid. And I know he's doing it. And he's insulting me. And I know he's doing it. He's treating me like a buffoon. I know he's doing it. Nothing you say is getting past me. But I can't get mad because I don't want my girlfriend to see me get fucking mad again, because that's all I do is get mad at idiots like you. So I let him say these things, and it's just bouncing off of me. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I won't move the car then. He goes, no. He goes, it happens. He goes, it doesn't happen a lot. A lot of people can read signs. And he's looking at Jill smiling when he says it. And I know exactly what he's fucking doing. So he says that one. That was the one where he goes, it happens a lot. A lot of people can read signs. Or it doesn't happen a lot. A lot of people can read signs. And he has her driver's license, and he goes, beautiful hair in your license. And he goes to hand it to her. And I did there's a thing called a slow burn, which is where you just turn basically to camera and you stare at it like, can you believe this is happening? Because I saw it. I saw it all unfolding. I heard every insult. I let them bounce off of me because I wanted to go, hey, dickbag, just fucking get rid of my bill and take care of my fucking car. I just want to get to my room and get in your hot tub. But finally, the one with when he said beautiful hair and he wouldn't stop staring at her, I did a slow burn and I looked at her and she looked at me with this like kind of a scared, weird face and I just smiled. And she just kind of wide-eyed stared at me and I just nodded and I turned around and I go, okay, so I don't have to move the car? And he goes, no. He goes, I took care of it. It's fine. Just when you check out, just go ahead and do that. He goes, all right, Jill, enjoy your stay. Have a lovely time. We got you a really nice room. Here's cookies, because they give you cookies for the DoubleTree Hotel. And if you need anything, you just come back down here, give me a call. I'll be here all night. And I said, so it's squared away with the car in the morning. He goes, oh yeah, it's all squared away. Thanks. He goes, you don't have to move your car. We're good. I said, okay, thank you. And I walked away feeling proud that I didn't murder somebody. And I took Jill's hand and we turned the corner and she went, honey. It's so funny. She says that all the time. And I go, yeah. She goes, that was terrible. I go, huh? He was really bad. And she goes, well, I'm surprised you didn't kill him. And I go, why would I kill him? I go, there's nothing I can do about it. And she goes, but he insulted me like 5 times. And she goes, I know, I heard it. And she goes, honey, he was staring at me the entire time. And I go, I know, I saw. She goes, well, no, but he was staring in my eyes, like he was looking right at me. He was one of those slimy, like smooth operator guys. And then he told me I had beautiful hair. I'm surprised you didn't call him out on that. I go, well, what do you want me to do? She goes, well, nothing. I go, okay. I go, I recognized all of it, Jill. I go, but I'm trying not to get mad anymore because I know you don't like that. I said, I mean, I would have handled it if he would have gotten completely inappropriate with you, but I mean, and there's no point in getting mad at the guy because we're just trying to get to our room and get into the fucking hot tub. That's all we want at this point. She goes, I understand, but she goes, you did a good job not getting mad. She goes, but I really wanted to yell at him. Like, I wanted to kill him because he was kind of making fun of you. And I said, yeah, he was. And she goes, and he kept staring at me while he was doing it. I go, yeah, because he was letting you know what a buffoon you were with. And I go, I caught it all. I go, that's why I turned and I smiled at you. She goes, oh. She goes, I thought you were smiling at me because of the last one. I go, oh no, I caught every insult that he threw my way. I was smiling, and she goes, I thought you were smiling at me like to say, I'm about to kill this guy. I go, oh, basically I was telling you that I could kill him. I knew what was going on. She goes, oh, okay, Jesus. She goes, that's terrible, honey. And I go, yep, it was bad, but that's okay. And then we got into the room, and she's like, oh, Sean, he was just terrible. I go, yep. It's like she kept saying terrible about this trip. I'm like, oh, honey, I just want to get in the hotel and have fun. So we got into the room, and it was a nice room. It's a DoubleTree. I did the bed bug check and worked out to be fine. And we immediately changed. I go, we're going to the hot tub. Let's just go. Because by this time it was like 7 o'clock. And we changed out of our clothes. She got in her bikini, and I didn't want to leave the room, but she said we had to. So then I got into my clothes, swim trunks, and hot tub and pool were on the second floor. I looked it up on the little book they give you. So I said, let's just go down there and hang out. So I grabbed my iPod. We have a Bluetooth speaker that her kids got us for Christmas, which was great. And then she grabbed her phone, and I just had a shirt on, and we grabbed a couple of towels. I said, let's just get in the hot tub. So we walk down the hallway. We're on the 4th floor. We get in the elevator, head down to 2. We walk down the hallway to where the fitness center is, and we go there. And I grabbed the door, and I opened it up, and I go, all right. And it was really nice. You could see inside. It was kind of dark, which I like. I didn't want it to be all crazy blaring. There weren't kids in there because it was dead, man. It was a fucking Tuesday night, so I was excited. And we walked in, and Jill walked in. I opened the door for her, and I took one step, and I looked at the door, and I went, and she says, what? I said, no. She goes, hot tub's broken. I go, yep. She goes, you're kidding. And I go, no, look. There's a flyer on the fucking door. And it just says, we apologize for the inconvenience. Our hot tub is broken. If you'd like, you can use the hot tub at the Embassy Suites. I mean, the only fucking reason we chose this DoubleTree, and like the DoubleTree is a nice hotel, but we made sure, because we were going to stay in downtown Chicago, and I said, why don't we find a place with a hot tub near the airport? And there were a couple, but we picked the DoubleTree because I've been to DoubleTrees before, and they're nice. The only fucking reason I'm in this hotel is because it has a hot tub. We walk out. I grabbed the courtesy phone in the hallway and I said, "Your hot tub is broken." "Oh, yeah, I'm real sorry." And it was Sean. I said, "All right, Sean, so what do I do here?" He goes, "Well, you can use the one at the Embassy Suites." I go, "Great. Do I need to tell them anything? Do they know we're coming?" And he goes, "No, they're aware of the situation. It's fine." I go, "Do I have to troop through the cold to get over there, Sean?" He goes, "Well, no, it's it's right across the street here." He goes, "But you can wait for our shuttle. Our shuttle will be here in 15 minutes, and we can go ahead and take you right to the door." I said, "That's fine, thank you." And I looked at Jill, and we went back to my room, and she immediately put on 10 more layers of clothing because we had to go out into the fucking cold. So, because she had, just her pants on with her bikini, but now she has to throw on like a fucking shirt and a jacket and, boots and fucking everything. And I didn't put on a goddamn thing, because fuck that. I'm just going to mosey over there. I can make it happen. And I'm going to get into a hot tub anyway, so what the fuck do I care how cold I am? So we go downstairs, we go to the door, and we're waiting for the shuttle for like 30 seconds. And then finally Jill goes, "Is that the Embassy Suites right there?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "We could probably just walk it." I go, "We could. I just didn't want you out in the cold." She goes, "No, I put on these clothes. Let's go." So we did. We trooped across the fucking parking lot and we go to the Embassy Suites. And by the way, I'm not a fucking hero for going across the parking lot. I was trying to spare Jill, but at the same time, I felt stupid waiting for the shuttle because we could see it. It was directly across the fucking parking lot. It was just silly to wait. And thankfully, she said something, because otherwise I would have just coddled her and made sure that she didn't have to go out in the cold, because that's what I do, is I try to protect her from everything. The elements now. I'm a coat. I'm a human coat. I'm a boyfriend coat. So we walk over to the Embassy Suites, go around to the front of the building. We walk in and it's dead. Again, it's a Tuesday in Rosemont. Nobody's there. So we come around to the front desk and there's a woman working the front desk, and then off to the side there's two men talking. One of them clearly an employee of the Embassy Suites, and the other one, Sean from the DoubleTree, has somehow made it over to the Embassy Suites. And we walk up to the counter. He sees us and he waves. And by us, I mean he sees Jill. He doesn't even fucking see me. He looks right past me, right back into Jill's eyes, maintaining that stare. And the woman behind the counter goes, "Hi, can I help you?" I said, "Hi, we're at the DoubleTree. They said we can use your hot tub." She goes, "Absolutely. Let me get your room key so you can do that." And he's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry about that. I apologize." Sean is talking to Jill. "I know you really wanted to use the hot tub, but unfortunately it's broken. I'm sorry, but at least over here they can take care of you. And I'll tell you what. Why don't you stop by the counter when you come back, and I will give you guys breakfast on us." And it wasn't even, like, I knew what he was trying to do. He wanted to give Jill breakfast, basically, and look like a big man. He doesn't give a fuck if I'm there or if I show up or any of it. He doesn't care. But I'm just like, "All right, that sounds good." He goes, "No, it's great. It's a great buffet, and you'll really love it. It'll be really good." And I'm like, "Thank you, Sean." Jill won't even look at him. She wants nothing to do with his creepiness. But he's there with his loud shirt and his loud tie, and he's talking to the guy at the Embassy Suites, and we come around the corner, and I said, "So it's just down at the end of the hallway?" "Oh, yeah, just go ahead and use the room key and go in there and have a good time." Which sounded even creepier coming from them. Have a good time. It's a hot tub. I mean, I'm going to soak. I mean, I'd love to have a good time, I suppose. So sure enough, I get in, and we walk in, and it's a different setup than the other. It is large. It's a 10-person hot tub rather than like a 5-person hot tub. So just in case a traveling basketball team happens by, they can join Jill and I in the spa. And the floor is all wet. It's just, again, it's a hotel setup. The other one was kind of dark and kind of nice. It was kind of groovy. It was almost like a Virgin America hot tub situation. But instead, we get this one, which is really brightly lit. So Jill starts to get undressed because she basically has to. She's got nothing but tons of clothes on. She gets down to her bikini, and I turn the bubbles on, and we climb into the hot tub. And I will tell you this, it was really hot, which was great. I was excited about that because I love a hot tub. Jill is a little, she just wants kind of the massage, and she likes it warm, but I like it crazy hot. And we get in, and we go and sit by the jets. And I will tell you this, the jets were funky because they weren't blowing right on our back. They were blowing kind of up. And that's why there's water all over the floor, because it's splashing all of the water out of the hot tub. It was fucking ridiculous. I don't know why they did it this way, but instead of shooting directly at you, they were shooting up, and the water was bubbling. And so she even said, "Why is this happening?" I have no idea. And we get into the hot tub, and I walked, I kind of swam over, and I held her, put my arms around her, and I said, we ought to put on a show for these guys. She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, the camera can't really see us because the hot tub was recessed into the wall. There was one camera by the pool. I said, they can't really see around the corner here. She goes, well, are you sure? I go, well, I'm not sure about anything, but as far as I can tell, they can't. I said, we need to put on a show for these guys. She said, what do you mean? And I said, why do you think Sean was here? She said, I don't know. I just thought maybe to tell him that we were coming. And I go, no. I go, listen to me. We checked in. Fucking Sean printed out that flyer about a broken hot tub. He stuck it on the health club, ran down to get the phone, tell us we can go to the Embassy Suites, and then he ran over there because he knew they had a camera that they could fucking look at. And she's like, what? I go, yeah, you're goddamn right. I go, Sean knows. You said you thought he was slick and all kind of slinky. Well, he is. And so he was all over this game. You know what's out over there? Not the hot tub. The fucking camera is broken. I guarantee you the camera's broken, so he wanted you to come over here and use the hot tub so he could watch you through the fucking camera. She's like, honey, that is just creepy. And I go, yeah, but I'm right. I know I'm right. So, let's put on a show for him. She's like, oh my God, stop. But that's where my brain goes because of these fucking murder shows. I know it. He was looking. So we got in the hot tub and it was fine. And it was bubbling. It was warm. It was good. It was just kind of spraying water everywhere. It was loud. I should tell you that too. It was super loud. So we brought our Bluetooth speaker with us, like I said, and we cranked it up and we could barely hear it. But we wanted to have some music, so I brought a table over and a couple of chairs by the hot tub. And we were the only ones. We had it to ourselves, which was really cool. And we hung out. We went for a couple of bubble cycles. And I will tell you this, man. Bubble cycles. What an idiot. That's a hot tub veteran. I was in there for a couple of bubble cycles. Idiot. But I will tell you this. Hot tubs, I don't know what it is. There's a movie called Hot Tub Time Machine, which I have not seen. And I understand Hot Tub Time Machine 2 is coming out. I wanted to see the first one. I should have seen it because Cusack's in it. I think Cusack's funny. I like him. But, so, by the way, you tell me if I should see it or not. I have not seen it, but I feel that the Hot Tub Time Machine, having not seen the film, maybe this is addressed in there, but I think the title of that film was pitched because when you get into a hot tub, time stops. I don't know if it's just because of the hot water and the bubbles and you're just sitting there because all you're doing is marking time. You're just sitting there not doing anything. I mean, ideally in a hot tub you get naked and get to work, but in a hotel hot tub you can't fucking do that because there's germs everywhere and you don't want to contribute to that. And plus there's a camera and you don't want fucking Hinky Sean to jerk off and spray all over his goddamn weirdly patterned shirt and tie. So hot tubs, wherever I've been, you get in them and then all of a sudden you look at the clock and only 10 minutes have gone by. And you always turn on the bubbles and it says 15 minutes. Dude, I've turned on bubbles for 15 minutes and I've been sitting there. There's no way it was only 15 minutes. No way. It couldn't possibly be. It seems like an hour and a half goes by and you look at the clock and 10 minutes have gone by. The bubbles are still rolling. You're like, these bubbles are amazing. Well, dude, that's because your fucking body shuts down when you get into a hot tub and won't keep time correctly. Your internal time clock is the first thing that goes. They're like, pregnant women shouldn't get in there. They should also say, oh, and by the way, beware of loss of time because it's just literally going to go so fucking slowly. It's arduous. Hot tubs are arduous, but enjoyable. So we're in the hot tub and we're just hanging out and passing time, listening to music, and it was fun. But at the same time, I would tease her that Sean was going to come in, and nobody came in. We were shocked. We had the whole place to ourselves. So she has to get out and sit on the chair. I stay in, I soak up the bubbles, and then when the bubbles end, I get out, and I sit with her on the chair and talk, because she's too hot. She overheats. Then she goes, I'm going back in. I go, all right, let's go in. So we went in again. I cranked up the bubbles. This time, she could only stay half as long. And she's in there half as long, and then she's like, I got to get out. So I said, fine. She gets out. I stay in a little while. She's sitting on her chair. I get out. I'm sitting next to Jill, and she's in her bikini. We're both kind of... And it does that thing, too. Hot tubs wipe you out. Not only do they make time slow down, they make your whole body, slow down. You feel... It's not even relaxed. You feel almost just immobile. Your whole body's heavier. You're waterlogged. Your pores have sucked in all of this chlorine. You can't move. So we're sitting on the chair, and we're talking. And... Jill's hot. I should tell you this, when the bubbles stop, we can actually hear our music, because when they weren't on, we had to crank it way up. So she turns the speaker down, we're listening to music, and she's brought her phone, so her iPod is basically shuffling through her music. Her phone kicks in, song ends, and the next song starts, and it's Boston. Now, I don't know if I've covered it in detail here on the show. I may have said it in passing, but let me go ahead and say this. I hate Boston. I don't get it. I mean, I have heard enough Boston for the rest of my life. I don't need to hear another note, another word. I don't care about fucking Amanda. I don't care about any of it. Boston. I mean, and let me tell you, this is more than a feeling. This is a fact. I got no interest in you, Boston, ever again. The only good thing Boston ever contributed was the artwork for when I went to Boston and Mex recreated the album cover with Lil Schmitty on it. It said 40YOB. That was the best thing Boston ever contributed in pop culture. So Boston comes on her iPod, and I look at her, and she grabs the phone, because I should tell you this, too. I hate Boston. I think they're ludicrous. I don't understand them. I don't like them. There may be only one other person on earth who hates Boston as much as me, and luckily, I'm in love with her. Jill hates Boston, which is why I can't believe her phone just starts playing Boston. I'm like, what the fuck? So she reaches for her phone. Before I even get it out, she grabs the phone to change it. And I just go, why is Boston on your iPod? And she goes, I have no idea. It must have been, because it might have been one of her sons who put it on there. She goes, I don't know. And she hits skip on the song, and she goes to put the phone back on the table, and the phone hits her knee. And I got to tell you, all of it's in slow motion. You think a hot tub is in slow motion. When disaster is about to strike, everything freezes. She reaches down to put her fucking phone back on the table, and it hits her leg. I don't know what happened. I don't know. But it somehow, her phone hit her knee, or it slipped. I mean, we couldn't really, we tried to piece it together later, Law and Order style, and none of us know what happened. Neither of us. None of us. Me, her, or Sean. We actually consulted the security tape. We went back and said, Sean, run back the tape. We know you were fucking watching it and jerking off. What happened right at this key moment? But she went to put her phone on the table, and it dropped out of her hand. I don't know if it hit her knee or it just slipped. And I saw it in slow motion. I saw it start to fall toward the deck, like toward the cement. Because again, it's a fucking pool, so it's nothing but cement floor. And it hits the floor, and she goes, no! Yells it loudly, screams, because it hits the cement, and you would think it would lay flat or it would stop, no, dudes, of course, it hits the fucking floor and bounces right into the hot tub. It bounces. The iPhone 6, let me tell you about what the iPhone 6 has and doesn't have. What it doesn't have, gravity control, because it should have just adhered itself right to the cement floor. And what it does have is it doesn't have buoyancy, I should say. It does have fucking bouncing ability to bounce right into the goddamn hot tub. Right in. I mean, absolutely score. She jumps out of the chair, she jumps in, and she scoops it out. She's like, honey! And she pulls it out. And she hands it to me, and I take it, and I grab it. I run over to get a towel and dry it off. And I start looking at it, and she's like, oh my God, honey, I can't believe, because it went underwater, dude. I looked in the water as she was reaching for it. You could see the screen shining up through a fucking 1.5 foot of water, because it landed on the place where you sit in the hot tub. And I saw it looking up at us, just beaming, just staring, just lighting up through the goddamn water. And she pulled it out. She's like, honey! And I grabbed it, I got a towel, and I'm trying to take it out of the case. She's like, what do you need to do to it? I go, I don't know. I go, when this happened with mine, it fell into a sink, and I put it in a bag of rice. She goes, well, we don't have any rice. I go, I know we don't. We'll get some from the restaurant. We'll try to do that. She's like, oh, honey, I can't believe it. And I put it in the towel, and I dry it off, and I take it out of the case, and I'm drying it off. And, I look at it, and it's working. The phone itself, I dry off the screen because it doesn't work when it's wet, and then I start punching buttons, and I can pull up apps, and I can pull up the phone, I can pull up the keypad, and I go, honey, the phone still works. She's like, what are you talking about? I go, look, and I show it to her, I dry it off, and I take it, and I'm banging it on my forearm. I'm not banging it on a table or anything, but I'm banging the bottom of it, and as I do that, water is coming out onto my arm. So I'm going, well, there's moisture and water inside of there, but right now, honestly, it seems like it's fine. And she says, that's ridiculous. I go, I know, I can't, that makes no sense. It makes no sense. So we wrap it in a towel and we coddle it like babies. The only bad thing, I will tell you this, because I've skipped this, because we're just concerned about the phone and the interior at this point, but the screen is destroyed. It's not just spider cracked, it's like nest of spider cracked. It is so you can run your finger along the screen and feel the ridges of the glass as they're raised. It's almost like an embossed screen now because it is so smashed. And it just hit in the perfect spot. It must have hit on the corner, and then it shot all the way through, like when a windshield breaks. And then it dove into the water to actually commit suicide because it couldn't handle the damage that had been done to its face. The iPhone 6 is vain, folks. It was like, oh my God, look at my face. I gotta end it all. And it leaped into the water. So I took it, I dried it off, and I told her, don't touch the glass. She took it, she's like, I can't believe it works. I can't. So we grabbed it, we got all of our stuff, we went to leave. And as we were leaving, we looked at the phone, and all of a sudden, like a white haze had come over the screen. And white lines had appeared. You could still use the touch screen, but you couldn't see all of the icons the way you needed to see them. I mean, you could see right through it, but it just looked like you were looking at it through a screen window. And she's like, honey, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. And I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't Google what to do. I just knew we had to put it in a bag of fucking rice, stat. So we get out, we get dressed, we get dried off, we go walking. We go over to the room. And Sean is behind the desk. He can't wait. We walk. He's like, he ran. I know he ran over too when he saw us gathering our stuff. And he's like sprinting. He's all out of breath. His hair's all messed up. His tie's disheveled because he ran over after watching us on fucking camera for an hour and a half. And we walk in and he's like, hey, come on over here. Let me give you that free breakfast I promised you. I don't know if I mentioned that he promised us free breakfast, but he did as an inconvenience for the hot tub. And I'm like, fuck that. It's going to be a little bit more than free breakfast, motherfucker. I only stayed here for the hot tub. So he goes to write it out, and he goes, what else can I do for you? I said, we have had a tragedy. Her iPhone has fallen into the hot tub. We need a bag of rice. And he's like, whoa, I don't know if we have it. I'll be right back. Sean splits, and I'm talking to Jill, and we're trying to figure out what to do, and the phone is still kind of working, but it's still also hazy. And then Sean, obviously because the girl of his dreams is in distress, comes back with a bag of fucking rice. Not even a bag, a cup. He got a coffee, like a big plastic coffee cup, and he filled it with rice from the restaurant. And I was like, dude, I mean, I was like, thank you. And he didn't even listen to me. He's just looking at Jill. He's like, I hope that works. I hope that fixes it. Yes, of course. As you stare in her eyes, her amazing eyes with her beautiful hair that you told her about. So we take the rice, we get in the elevator, and we get up to the room. I Google immediately what to do. Because again, like I said, with mine, I threw it in a bag of rice right away, and it worked. So we get upstairs, and I put it in the bag of rice. And I Googled the first one. It's from like how to save an iPhone 6 from water damage. And it comes up and basically it says, like the first thing, it's because it has all this bullshit. So you broke your phone. Bullshit. You should be more careful. Bullshit. Fuck you and your cautionary tales. Just tell me how to fix the motherfucker. That's all I'm concerned with at this point. I know I shouldn't have brought it to a hot tub. I get it. But sure enough, I read it. And basically the first thing was, don't bother with that rice thing. We got it sitting in a bag of rice, and it's fucking sealed because I got a baggie in my bag, so I put it in a bag instead of a cup. And it says, don't bother with the rice. It says professionals say that doesn't work. It's kind of a myth. But it worked for me. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But he said it's kind of a myth. You should use silica gel, which, of course, we all have that, right? How many leather jackets do I have to buy to fill a fucking baggie with silica gel? Jesus Christ. I don't know who saves that stuff. I do know this. Do not eat it. So it said to use instant oatmeal. That would work. But I mean, that just sounds horrible, right? If it gets the moisture out, then it's like gummy oatmeal all over your fucking your phone. Ugh. So we took it out of the bag of rice. And it said, make sure you power it off, which we had not done. So we powered it off. And it said good old-fashioned air drying would work. So Jill took the hairdryer, because it said you could use an air dryer, like a hairdryer, but not to let the internal temperature reach over 115 degrees. Well, I got no fucking idea. I mean, I can't stick anything in the goddamn phone. There's no pop-up thermometer. It's not a fucking turkey. That's what I need. I need an iPhone Turkey 6, an iTurkey. I need an iTurkey 6. So I was like, all right, I don't know what to do here. Let's figure it out. So she was drying her own hair anyway, so she turns on the hairdryer and lets it blow right into the vent. She sets it up on the soaps, and it was perfect. She set up a whole little thing. It was great. So we did that for a little bit. We didn't want it to get too hot. And then it said to let it just air dry. So that's what we did. We put it on the counter. We decided to let it air dry, and we went to sleep. The important thing was we powered it down, because that's what it said. That's what that dude said. I don't know, some disembodied face on the internet typed that you should power it down because you don't want to get water in your hardware or your software or whatever, because it will cause permanent damage. I literally don't know if it was hardware or software. Off the top of my head, I don't know what, but just don't get water in your wear. All right, I can tell you that, folks. By all means, do not get water in your wear, no matter what number phone you have. So we get up this morning, It was kind of a lazy day. We had to check out, and we weren't going to do breakfast. That guy gave us the breakfast passes, but I said, no, we're not doing that. Just, you know why? Because I knew we would go down there, and Sean would be in a fucking hat at the carving station waiting to stare at Jill and talk to her. Hey, how do you like your eggs? Would you like breakfast in bed? Maybe I could bring you breakfast in bed. Mr. Schmidt, here's another bag of rice. Why don't you go ahead and fix that phone? I'm going to bring some breakfast upstairs to your lovely wife, because he actually said, here's your beautiful wife. And he called her, he said her hair was beautiful, like, whatever. Just... I'm used to it. I should tell you, I'm not like a Neanderthal. You know what I mean? I understand Jill's going to get complimented. It happens quite a bit. People tell her eyes are amazing or she's beautiful, and they're not lying. I mean, that sort of thing is true. Those are very true statements. If they get out of line, I'll take care of it, but I'm certainly going to let them compliment her because she deserves it. She's beautiful. People overstep. There are habitual line steppers. The thing that drives me fucking crazy is idiots on Facebook when they'll write shit like or, gorgeous, and I don't know. I guess that's what Facebook is built for. But, she's got a boyfriend. Like, would you walk up to her when her boyfriend was next to her and go, I hope you wouldn't. Because I'll tell you what, it'd be hard to go, with your fucking lips split open. With an elbow in your fucking mouth. Try that. Try saying, to a woman when her boyfriend's elbow's in your fucking mouth. But I'm trying not to get mad, folks. I'm sure Sean's a wonderful person. So we didn't go to breakfast because of that. And the main thing was our phone that was a big deal because, Jill has to stay in contact with work. She has to stay in contact with her kids. You need a phone. Ideally you wish you could just put it away and not worry about it. And because when I'm with Jill, my phone is on airplane mode probably 80% of the time. Just because you know who I text when I'm not here? Jill. I mean, I don't really need to talk to anybody. I don't need to stay in touch for work. I talk to Mex, try to figure out show stuff, and Lily and people like that. But, I mean, if you looked at my text, it's literally all people from work because it's like, where do these ribs go? And then Jill. So you wish that you could put your phone on a shelf and not worry about it, but she needs to stay in contact with her kids. She needs to be available for anything that might come up. So her phone, it's imperative that it works. And I should tell you, man, the glass... It was just worse in the morning. I don't know if the glass somehow decided to keep breaking or if the phone once again knew the damage that had been done to its face and tried to commit suicide and flung itself off the dresser and climbed back up. But there was actually glass coming out of the screen, like little tiny, like if you ran your finger over it, like you could maybe get it stuck in your finger, a splinter. It was bad news. But she picked up the phone to see what it was going to be and she was going to power it on. But when she hit the button, the phone came on. She didn't power it on. The phone had been on all night. I powered it off, and I slid the touch screen over to off. But for some reason, I don't know if because there was water in the wear, it did not catch. So it was on all night. And her battery, when it went into the fucking drink, the battery was right around 30 or 35. Well, by the time we woke up in the morning, it's at like 4. So it's that red battery, and she's got to fix it. And so we're going to charge it. So, it won't take a charge. She plugs it in with her charger, and we're trying to fix it and put it into the wall. And she's trying to maintain that, and then I'm going to try to call AT&T and get her insurance claim processed. And then we have to use my cord. For some reason, her cord wouldn't charge it. But then my cord went in, and it caught lightning. And the little white screen was coming back and then going away. I mean, the whole fucking phone's on the blink. But it was taking a charge, and that's all that mattered. We put it down. It was charging slowly, but it was still charging. So we got ready to bail from the DoubleTree. I checked all the closets to make sure Sean wasn't hiding in there. I looked for cameras to see if he had been looking at her in the shower. And we got ready to go, and then I had to call AT&T. We got to file an insurance claim. I tried to find an AT&T store near me. Now get this fucking rip-off. Listen to this bullshit. I talked to AT&T, and I talked to them this morning. They were great. They were really nice, and they told me where I needed to go, and they also told me about a thing called a Go Phone. This woman, her name was Samantha. She was so friendly. I got to say, look, people bitch about AT&T and the service and whatever. I'll tell you, I've never had a problem with their customer service. They always do a good job. They'll try to upsell you on shit and stuff like that, but I don't know. And they fucked me. I will tell you this: they did fuck me when I signed up for my new phone. When I got the iPhone 5, they made me sign a 2-year deal, and I didn't realize you could do that thing where you have to pay for the phone on installment, so I could have waited. Fuck. You can because Jill has her phone and she can upgrade anytime she wants because she's just paying for the phone as she goes, and then she'll own it. Whereas for me, I guess, I don't know if it's a lease. I don't fucking know. All I know is I'm tied into a 2-year thing. So by the time the iPhone 11 comes out, I'll be able to get something new. So this woman was really great to me on the phone today, and she helped me out, and she's like, you got to file an insurance claim. We got all the insurance you could fucking imagine. And she's like, great, what you need to do is call this insurance company. They will overnight you a phone. I said, well, look, my girlfriend really needs to kind of stay in touch with whatever. She said, well, the insurance company, like I said, they get it to you within one day, but what you can do is go to an AT&T store and get a Go phone and just tell them it's for your phone number, and it'll work with your number for a couple of days until your new phone shows up. I had no fucking idea that even existed. I said, well, what is it? She goes, it's a Go phone. She goes, it's kind of rudimentary. It's almost like a toy phone, which I was really excited about. They said there was a flip phone version and a smartphone version. She said, but it's like $13 and you're fine. And I honestly, she didn't even need to tell me how much it was. The second I heard flip phone version, I wanted to get one for Jill, just because I want to see her. I want to pretend what it would be like to have dated her in 1997. That's all I care about. But because her little hands like holding a flip phone, it's going to be so cute. I can't wait. So she said it was $13 and just go to find a store. And I happened to Google the store, and there was one like a mile and a half from the DoubleTree. So I said, fuck it, we're in. We'll stop there. She'll be back on the network, as quickly as possible, because I was more worried about her using the screen on her phone. It's charging and charging slowly, but I didn't want to deal with her fucking sliding her finger across and getting fucking glass in it, all that stuff. So we get ready, we go to leave the hotel, we unplug the phone from the wall, and I go to get the car from fucking Parking Siberia. We walk downstairs. By the time I pull up to the DoubleTree, she looks at me and says, my phone died. I said, what do you mean? She goes, it died. I said, but we charged it. She goes, well, it was up to like 30 when we left the room, but I put it in my purse, and when I reached in to grab it when you were pulling up, it's bricked. It's dead. And it was. We couldn't turn it on. We couldn't turn it off. We didn't know anything that was happening. So I told her, I go, honey, seriously, I'm real sorry. I don't know what to do here. I go, but we can go to the AT&T store, which is good. This happened before we were on the road. So we hopped in the car, and we drove a mile and a half to the AT&T store, and she looked at me, she goes, I thought this trip was supposed to go smoothly. I said, it was going smoothly. I don't know what the fuck happened. Sean showed up, and then your phone took a deep sea dive, and everything went to hell. It was like the broken hot tub. That was the problem. I blame Sean, man. If he hadn't fucking put up that flyer about the broken hot tub, we would have been fine. So we go to the AT&T store, and I should tell you this. Remember I said I've never had bad customer service for AT&T? I meant on the phone. Because we go to this fucking AT&T store, there's two people working. One of them comes right up to us, and I said, hi, I'm here to look for a Go phone. And I had called them, the AT&T store, because I wanted to find out what they had, and they wouldn't pick up. And it kept saying, we're busy with other customers, so please, call or leave a message or come in. It was only a mile and a half away, so I didn't fucking care. We walk in, this woman walks right up, hi, can I help you? I said, hi, we're here to buy a Go phone. I don't have any Go phones. How do you not have Go? I'm sorry, we're out of them. But there's a location on Gulf and Manheim. There's a location on Gulf and Higgins. And it's like, dude, I don't give a fuck where there are locations. I need a Go phone now. And like, she didn't say what happened or what was wrong. It was immediately, I can't help you, get out of my store. And that drives me fucking crazy. At least show some sort of concern for your customer, for fuck's sake. Why am I so mad at customer service all the fucking time? Because I'm a grandfather. That's why. I'm a goddamn grandfather. Nodding off in a chair and fucking bitching at the world. Idiot. So, we leave. And I look at Jill and I go, you want to go to one of these other ones? She goes, no, honey, let's just go. And I figure we'd go up to Wisconsin and find one there. Except that, everything there is, all the stores are staffed by cows. Because it's fucking Wisconsin. Illinois' hat. But we start driving. And I will tell you this. Jill said she had one more goal that she wanted to do on this trip. She goes, hey, we're stopping at White Castle this trip. And I looked at her and I go, wait, are you serious? She goes, yeah. I have to try it. You said it's good, right? And I said, well, you can't trust me. But yeah, I think it's great. I've loved it since I was a kid. I can't eat a lot of them anymore, but I think you would like it. You like onions. You'll like these. She goes, well, then we're definitely trying it. We got to start. And I think it was then that I realized that I was absolutely with the woman I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I've thought it. Certainly I've thought it. I've felt it. I've said it. But that moment is the one where I just went, yeah, this is ludicrous. Like I almost thought now, that, there's this famous story by Stephen King, and it's called The Boogeyman. And a guy goes to a psychiatrist, and he's talking about how his kids are dying, and all these people are dying close to him, and he thinks it's the boogeyman. And then the fucking psychiatrist is like, dude, we got a lot of stuff to explore here. Why don't you come back? But we're going to schedule some more appointments for you. And the guy says, okay, cool. And he books, and he goes out, and he's like, oh, man, I totally forgot something. He walks back in the office, and the psychiatrist is the boogeyman, and he's holding a psychiatrist mask. So, like, he was actually the boogeyman sitting in on his session, and he's holding a psychiatrist. spoiler alert, I'm giving it away, but the last line of the story is, he pisses himself as he sees the shambling figure of the boogeyman holding his Dr. Stilton mask or whatever the fuck, and it's just creepy. So now I'm starting to think that maybe Jill is like a boogeyman in a Jill suit who's going to trap me into something. Because, a woman who wants to go to White Castle, she's excited about it. Dude, how the fuck do I deny that? So I said, all right, man, we'll go. So we Googled it, and we tried to find one. There was one in Waukegan, and there was one in Kenosha. And she said, Waukegan's a little closer. I said, we're in. So we're in the car, and we're driving. Get to White Castle. And this is my favorite part. She's like, does it look like a castle? I said, it does. She goes, come on. I go, it does, seriously. And as we're driving, I said, it'll be up here. And we're driving. She's like, are you sure it's up here? It was like 2 miles, and I didn't want to tell her. I wanted her to see it. And as we're driving, we pull up, and I just pointed. She looks over, and she goes, yay! Because she realized, yes, it does. It's built like a fucking White Castle. It's ridiculous. There's no royalty who would ever be in there. And just like most White Castles, it is in the shittiest neighborhood you could ever imagine. I mean, it's a White Castle. Here's why they call it, it's a White Castle, and they build it to look like a White Castle, because you would never eat there if you had to see the chalk outlines of the bodies that are against the wall from all the murders in the same neighborhood. I mean, that's why it's white, so you can't pick it out, and you'll actually stop and eat. I mean, it is Easy Pawns and Slumberland motels and just, really terrible, terrible bail bonds, and then White Castle. That's it. And we walked in, I parked, and she was excited. She was still excited. I go, I said, you want to drive through? You want to eat in there? She goes, I want to eat in the castle. I was like, all right. So I pulled in, and, we crossed the moat, and we tugged on the rope, and the drawbridge came down. And we went inside, and we went to the counter, and there was an old guy. If you ever go to White Castle, it's always staffed by, like, older people and minorities. That's just kind of who they always have there. Like in California, it's always Mexican guys who work at the fast food joints. Well, it's pretty much always black dudes who work at the White Castle, well, or older people. And an older gentleman comes over to help us, and he just goes, "Hello, what are you guys thinking today?" And I looked up, and I got her a regular slider. I got her a slider with cheese. I got her a slider with jalapeno cheese because she likes hot food. And then I got myself a couple of double cheeseburgers, and then I ordered some fries. I said, so I go, yeah, I need this, and I need this. And he's like, all right, okay, sir, all right. And he goes, you can get a meal that comes with a drink. I said, great. And I look over at the meal, and I said, I might get a meal. And I looked at Jill, and I said, there's a drink that comes with the meal. She goes, well, I want my own drink. I said, okay, I need a drink for her. And I look at him, and I notice he's no longer looking at me. He's staring at Jill. And I kind of look at him, and I go, hey, I need a drink for her. And he goes, you have beautiful eyes. And he's not talking to me. He's talking to Jill. And she just goes, thank you. And I go, she does, right? And he goes, I bet that's what got you, wasn't it? I said, dude, it was the whole package. Now, I'm her boyfriend, clearly, and so I've delivered the last word in this exchange because I said, dude, it was the whole package, right? So you know what you do? You nod appreciatively, or you smile, or you just go, all right, well, your total's $11. But this guy chose to go all in on me. And so he says, you have beautiful eyes. And I said, she does, right? And he goes, I bet that's what got you. I said, dude, it was the whole package. He goes, oh, man, I really wanted to say that, but I wasn't sure how you'd feel about it. Dude. So wait a minute. You're basically telling me you were about to tell her how incredibly hot she was, but you were worried I would elbow you in the mouth? I'll tell you what, you've got a lot more tact than the guy running the fucking desk at the DoubleTree, for fuck's sake. See, that's the difference. At the White Castle, they know their place. Guy at the DoubleTree, put a tie on a guy, and a douchebag becomes Mr. fucking Smooth who thinks he's going to get your girlfriend. You throw a guy in a paper hat, he realizes he can say beautiful eyes, and that's the limit. That's where you got to draw the line. But then when I said what I said, again, I guess I opened my own drawbridge, and he just went, oh man, I was going to say that, but I didn't know how you'd feel about it. Well, I'd feel that you were 70 and working at White Castle, and if you wanted to be 71 and working at White Castle, you'd probably stop fucking talking right now. I mean, I understand you're stepping up and you're being complimentary, but all I want is a sack of fries and a crave case. Please, please. Put your compliments with your chicken rings and put them on a shelf where no one will ever see them again. Although he's a nice guy. There's nothing wrong with complimenting a woman, I suppose, but it just seems weird. I just don't... Here's the thing I don't get. I'm 6'2", 250. I'm right there. I'm with her clearly. I don't understand why you think it's okay. And there's, I guess it's okay to compliment. It's a coin flip. I don't know, but I want her to get compliments because she's beautiful and they're not telling lies. But at the same time, if anybody gets really out of line, I will handle it. And I will be the guy, I guess, who decides the line there. And I've had to in the past, but that's something to tell you another time. So this was a trip that I'm here. That's all I care about. The final result is I'm in Wisconsin, and I'm with the woman I love, and I'm fine. But I should tell you this. I skipped it on purpose. I wanted to tell you, but this should tell you everything about who you're dealing with. You know me, and Jill knows me, but Jill hasn't been a party to having all of the things that happen with me. Because I think I told you in another show, she actually said, things do happen to you, don't they? And I said, yes, they do. Clearly they do. This morning, when we were hassling with AT&T on the phone, when I said Jill had checked the phone, well, it wouldn't power off. That was the thing, and the battery had run all the way down. And I mentioned that Jill charged the phone. Well, there was something I kind of omitted in the middle. Jill went to charge the phone at first, right away, and she could not get the charger into the bottom of the phone. She tried, and we had to use, I think I told you we had to use a different cord. Well, her cord didn't work for a charge previously, so we were using my cord. Well, the reason being, she tried to use her cord and it wouldn't go into the phone, it wouldn't plug in. And then I tried to use my cord and it still wouldn't plug in. And I flipped it over, we blew in the hole, we did all of that fucking nonsense. Which, by the way, I flipped it over and then I blew in the hole. That describes a whole lot more than fixing your iPhone. But that's, again, a different story. So we were going ahead and trying to fix it and take care of it. And I'm on the phone with AT&T and she's trying to get it to take a charge. And I told the woman from AT&T, because I will tell you, last night I was banging the phone on my forearm, and every time I did, water would come out, moisture would wind up on my arm. And look, it's never good when you're treating your $800 device like Fonzie treats a fucking jukebox. That's probably bad, especially when water is coming out of it. But we knew that. But it seemed like it was safe, and then it wasn't saved. And again, it was a coin flip. We didn't know what the fuck to do. So I'm on the phone with AT&T, and she's trying to charge it. And I told her, I said, this whole thing's a disaster. The screen is broken, and it fell into the water, and there was water damage. We think, we're not sure. Again, don't get water in your wear. But now it won't even accept the plug to take a charge. And she said, well, sometimes it gets warped. The inside could get warped by the water. Maybe that's the possibility. And I looked at Jill and I said, I don't know. I go, so it won't go in. And she's like, no, and I tried. And we had it sitting in the bag of rice overnight. And I looked at her and I go, maybe, I go, it seems ridiculous. Maybe a grain of rice got in there. And she's like, come on, that just seems ludicrous. And then she goes and gets a grain of rice and brings it over to me. And I go, well, maybe. I mean, I guess it's big enough to kind of slide in there. I go, but that just seems, that's a 1 in a million shot. I go, but if it's going to happen to anybody, it's going to happen to us. So AT&T is telling me about the warped phone and how I should get to an AT&T store, and then there's glass falling off of the screen. And Jill's like, can we get like something to go into the slot? I go, well, that's probably bad too. You don't want to be digging around in there because if we hit a wire or we trip something. Although I guess we're getting a new phone, so I gave her one of my dental floss like picks, these teeth picks. Not there's toothpicks, but it's whatever the fuck. I said it wrong. But it's those green things. They have floss on one end and then a pick on the other. So I gave her one of those, and she's digging around in there, and it's not working. So I get ready to get in the shower. About 40 minutes goes by. I hang up with AT&T. I get ready to go. We're getting all packed. I turn the shower on and I'm brushing my teeth. And then I put my mouthwash in and I go to open the shower door and I hear, honey! And I'm like, what the? But I have mouthwash in my mouth, so I'm like, I gargle and I spit it out. And she goes, it was rice! It was rice! And I said, what? And she opens the bathroom door. She comes in. She goes, look, look! And the phone came back on. I walked out and she goes, look, I was digging around. She goes, there's a little bird, because she has a bird keychain that's really thin metal. She goes, I took the bird, and I dug his wing into the thing, and look at this little guy came out. And it was a fucking piece of rice. A piece of rice had jammed itself up into the charger. And I looked at her and I was like, honey, that is great. She goes, I can't believe it. I dug in there and it came out and now we can charge. And then sure enough, we put the cord in, and that's when it took the charge at 2%. And it started to take a slow charge. And she was on the bed and I'm standing there, and she puts the phone down on the bedside table, looks at me, and I said, if this was going to happen to anybody. And she said, it would be us. And she said, I don't know why these things happen to you. I said, but they do. It's just good to have somebody on board to document them when they happen. You guys can get me at mikeandmikeschmidtcomedy.com. You guys can be my friend at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. Our friend David Hernandez does all of the artwork, all of the music for this show. Hey, I should mention that I didn't talk about basketball because I was talking about Mex's art. We're taking a break from basketball this week. I know we shouldn't, but we did. I got to talking about something else, and I wanted to talk about that, and I steered myself kind of in that direction. I think we all needed a break. We all needed a breather from basketball, and I will absolutely sew it up for you next week. If you stick around, I hope you do. Our friend David Hernandez does all of the music and the artwork for this show. He is available at artbydmh.com. That is his website. I'll talk about that in more detail in a second, but first go to facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez and become his friend and like all of his paintings and the things that he puts up on there because he is a meme creator as well as a artwork dispenser and a brilliant music maker. You can find him at artbydmh.com, artbydmh.com, and take a look at his new portfolio for 2015. He is creating a ton of original paintings of classical film and tough guy icons. You should check those out. I'll be telling you more about those in the future, but they are always available for sale, and he's also available to do custom work for you in watercolor or in oil, or in, I think he actually works in smashed fruit, if you pay enough. The man will just make a palette out of raspberries and bananas and paint your face. It's fucking fantastic. So go to artbydmh.com, artbydmh.com, and check it out. He is the man. You need to find out that he's the man, and that's capital T, capital M. Lily Von Stupp is the producer of this show, this podcast. She was just in Phoenix at the Burlesque Festival last weekend. I'll talk about that in a second. But you can find her at facebook.com/LilyVonStupp and be her friend, or you can go to follow her at several different Twitter accounts, twitter.com/LilyVonStupp, twitter.com/MNTs, and twitter.com/HollywoodBQFest. You can also find her where? Where's the other place? Oh, you can go ahead to, well, I'll be talking about that in just a second. So you can find her at all those Twitter accounts, and you can find her on Facebook. But if you'd like to write her a personal note and find out if she's ever going to return an email or a text to me. That's a lie. She returns my texts, but I've sent her the show. Again, the chunks. We check the chunks, and then I don't hear from her, and then I worry because she's very busy. She's doing Vagic all over the world. You can write her at lily@burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com. Lily, should I even start Year 4? Lily, should I close the Zazzle store? Lily, do you think anyone even buys Year 3? Lily, hey, how's your name? Lily, should we try to book some guests? Lily, should we try to mic your breasts?
Tried to say the blame's all mine.
Lily, why wouldn't Mex let me sing that line?
Hush now, Schmitty, Schmitty, don't you cry. Lily's gonna upload Schmitty. Ooh, Schmitty. Ooh, Schmitty. Of course, Lily's only free Wednesday night.
Lily, do you think I'm good enough? Tell me. Lily, am I way too self-absorbed? To see?
Lily is my show, just one long diatribe.
Lily, will they unsubscribe?
Hush now, Schmitty, Schmitty, don't you cry. Lily won't let any of the funny escape. Lily won't count how many times you say rape. Lily's gonna stay up to finish the show. Lily will help you meet Tarantino. Lily's gonna be laughing all episode through. Ooh, Schmitty. Ooh, Schmitty. Ooh, Schmitty. I'll always be laughing at you.
Lily, does it have to be so loud?
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 Clubs on Vine at Santa Monica. Amazing shows on the dais. The dais coming up. Well, it's not a roast. Well, let's roast some hot chicks. Let's do that. But plenty of great shows coming up. You go to facebook.com/Monday Night Teas. You will learn about those shows. You'll see photos from past shows, including the one last week where Russell Bruner and Bo Toxic were on stage, and Russell Bruner's all like bent over backwards, and he's got a cane holding him up, and that guy is a ridiculous talent. So he's always at the Monday Night Teas. They bring him in occasionally from out of town. I said always and occasionally, within like 5 seconds of one another, not even 2 seconds of one another. But he's there. But if you go to facebook.com/Monday Night Teas, you can see who's coming to all of those shows. And again, I know the producer of that show. I'm in. If I ever want to go, I can just go. You know why? Because I happen to know Lily Von Stupp. She's the amazing producer of that show, as well as a lot of other shows in town. The Dirty Birdie Story Festival, or Story Show, Story Hour. But there, I'll tell you what, February 9th, there's an amazing lineup of people at the Dirty Birdie Story Hour, including Mike Kaplan will be there. So you want to check that out. It is the Dirty Birdie Story Hour, hosted by Susanna Lee, I believe. Lily's involved. It's at the 3 Clubs on February 9th. And she has a deal. If you buy tickets for both events, the Monday Night Teas and the Dirty Birdie Story Hour that night, it's $25. Normally it's $20 just for the teas. So it's like $5 for the stories. Then you get in and see hot girls and hear great stories. You get warmed up from hot stories, dirty stories, and then you see dirty girls or hot girls. I'm mixing up dirty and hot quite a bit here. Maybe I need a paper hat. Maybe I should go to White Castle and get a job. You sure are dirty and hot. You want a chicken ring? Who wants a mozzarella stick? That's my voice. It's screwed up. So the shows are always available. If you, again, become Lily's friend on Facebook, you can do that and learn about stuff. You can get on her mailing list. You can follow her on Twitter. Get all of that important stuff. And if you go to brownpapertickets.com, you can go ahead and buy tickets for all of these shows and check them out and be there live and in person. I may actually go to that February 9th show, that Monday night show. I'm going to check my schedule. as Jimmy Walker would say, and I will check it out and see if I can be there. But I'd like to, because again, that's quite a lineup of people at that story hour. Mike Kaplan, and I think there was a guy named Steve. He's great. Go see Steve. He tells great stories. And Susanna, of course. So check it out. All of these shows, Monday Night Teas, Dirty Birdie Story Hour, Dr. Sketchy's Figure Drawing Extravaganza with Wine. All of these are available and on sale through brownpapertickets.com. And if you follow Lily on Twitter, she will give you all the links and all the times. And go to the facebook.com/Monday Night Teas page and become a friend to see photos of the past, photos of the future, and find out when the shows are and when they're going to be. As I've mentioned, my friend David Hernandez is the best. He does music, he does art, he does all that cool stuff. Go to artbydmh.com. And then our friend Ryan Dirks does all of the website stuff for this show. He's really cool. If you go and find him at facebook.com/Ryan Dirks, or if you go to you go to Ryan Dirks /littleprofiles.com. I believe that's what it is, or littleprofiles/RyanDirks.com. Or you could go listen to another show where I said, or I could just, you know what, I'm going to look it up. Hold on. I'm going to find out because I shunned him and shirked him the last time. And then he wrote me back when I said that I thought his text was mean. He's like, I thought you might read it mean. And I wanted to go, you know why? Because you're a normal human being, Ryan, because everybody thinks that I'm going to read everything mean. No, you can find him at, where is it he wants to plug? I'm looking through my texts. He is at, Christ, where is it? Or was it in an email? Oh, Christ, I got to check my email? Do you guys really want to hear me thumbing through my phone? But at least I can thumb through my phone. Poor Jill, her phone. All right, I'm going to go check my mail real fast because I have to get this right. Because, again, I'm a terrible person if I do not. But I know Ryan wants this plug, and he's the best. And here's all of the website stuff for me and stuff that I will actually address in a second because he was going to do it, and then I told him to do it, and then I haven't made any moves to make him do it. Hey, Ryan Dirks, if you go to RyanDirks.littleprofiles.com. There it is, RyanDirks.littleprofiles.com. You can find him. It's great. And please forgive me for the past 45 seconds of fumbling around like a dumb fuck. I am a grandfather. So that's Dave, that's Ryan, that's Lily. Those are the monstrous people who help me out on the show, and I appreciate it. If you go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com, there's all sorts of pages there for you to enjoy and have fun with and look at. Let's talk about the Joe Business page right now. First of all, if you want to make a donation to the show, you can donate on all of the pages of the website. There's a little Schmitty in the upper left-hand corner. You click on him. He's got his pocket out. Fill it up with cash. And also on the Joe Business page itself, that link is not in the upper left. It's down near Little Schmitty. You can't miss it. It's down in front of him. And you can subscribe to this show for $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, or send a one-time donation. All of it is appreciated, and all of it helps the show. On the Joe Business page, we've got all sorts of stuff for sale. Yurt Dirt shirts are available. Right now, again, I haven't changed the number yet because I got home from Wisconsin last week. I worked the whole weekend, and then I'm back in Wisconsin. So you know what? My sloth is your gain. Go buy a shirt for half price. It's Yurt Dirt January, and it'll be Yurt Dirt February before I can change the fucking number. But, you know, you're racing against time, the pit and the pendulum. Check the rhythm and rhymes while I'm sending them, or bending them. Sorry, I said sending them instead of bending them. It's a race against time, the pit and the pendulum. Check the rhythm and rhymes when I'm bending them. Snakes rolling up the line of design. All right, so that's Chuck D. Hey, I should tell a Public Enemy story someday, right, Todd? That's what it's come to, folks. I have a podcast, and I'm sending out individual messages to one guy, but he's a good guy. So, Joe Business, we've got the Yurt Dirt shirts, the Yurt shirt, and that's available now. You can get it half price. We've got downloads, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6 of this show available individually or together as part of the Reservoir Schmidt Dogs box set. Check that out. And then we've got, of course, Schmidt Alive 2 available. It's a video audio compilation package which you can match and mix and match and look and walk and talk and read and check it all out at the same time. See me live and talking, or just hear me talking in your ears like you do all the time. We've got artwork available. Go ahead and order that. It's autographed by all of us. We've got Tweaked Audio helping us out. Go ahead and check out their autoerotic asphyxiation earbuds and their cock ring watches. Please remember we have my CD, The Big Angry, available. When I say we, I mean all of us together collectively. We all benefit from it. And thank you to all the people who've actually purchased the CD and sent compliments. I received one this week from a gentleman. Let's find his name. Let's go ahead and check the email again because that wasn't too annoying a second ago, was it? Thank you so much to our friend Andrew, who sent along nice words about the CD. I'm always happy when people listen to it and discover it because I was really proud of it. Not that I'm not anymore. I mean, I am proud of it. I was proud when it came out, but there's that first wave, and then people discover it later. I mean, I've had people who discover it on Amazon, because they don't know who I am, and they just buy it, or they hear my name on a podcast, and they write me, and they're like, Jesus Christ, who are you? Why aren't you famous? And I say, I don't know, because I'm ready to punch a guy in a White Castle at any moment. That could be it. Although, isn't that a better story? Wouldn't celebrity want me to welcome me into their celebrity-fied bosoms if I was a danger to others? That would be great, right? That's the best kind of celebrity, one who's always going to fuck somebody up at any moment. That makes for good copy. TMZ should fight to make me famous just because they'd have fucking fodder for days. So, go get the Big Angry CD and then tell me it's great. Or just get it. Oh, I got to tell. Oh, I'll tell you that story on the way out. That's all right. That's exactly what I got to say. So that's a funny story. But so we got the Big Angry, and I wanted to tell you about the Amazon link. If you go ahead and use our Amazon link, it's really cool. It helps the show out. Click on our Amazon link, and then you get into our store, which is a black store that I need to change the color of. And then you'll click through to real Amazon and make purchases, and we get credit for it. And thank you so much for doing it. And if you want to send me a list of the things you've purchased, I will be happy to read them here on this show. I don't know why you would, but some people do, although it hasn't happened in a while. Some people have written me and said, hey, I made a purchase on Amazon, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want you to read it. I should say those people's names just to be a jerk, but I will not, because I think they cherish their anonymity. They're people on the run from the law, and they go, but yet they shop on Amazon and they use my link. Thank you. You're one step ahead of the thin blue line, and yet you take the time to support me on Amazon. I appreciate it very much. So I was mentioning the CD. All right. Well, I will tell you this. There's a guy. You know me. You know I work for a company that brings food to others and strangers. Well, when you have regulars, there are some regulars that you remember because they tip terribly, and you're like, Christ, I can't believe I got to drive all the way out there for $2. But then there are some guys who maybe aren't as tightwaddish. Is that a word I may have made up? They may be a little nicer, a little more free with their money, and they're happy to tip, and they don't mind it, and they recognize that you do a tough job. Or they might be drunk. Either way, they wind up giving you more money than they should because they're nice people, or they might be loaded. Well, there's a particular regular that we deliver to, and he's a really good guy. He's super nice, really friendly. Every time I've gone to his house, he comes out and he engages and he talks to me for like 5 minutes. He wants to hear about me and what I'm doing, and I talk to him. And he knows my brother because my brother delivers there, and so he mentioned him by name, and I said, well, that's actually my brother. And he's like, no fucking way. And he's also like a guy's guy. Like, he'll come out holding a beer. He'll offer you a beer, and I'm like, I'm driving for a living, so I probably don't want one, but thank you. He's just that guy. So he's real nice. So the last time I saw him, or I saw him about a month ago, and he was talking, and he was watching George Carlin, and he comes out, and he's like, oh, man, I'm watching George Carlin in there, and he's a little half in the bag, and he's like, man, I'm watching George Carlin, that's the funniest motherfucker, man. And I go, yep, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, basically invented modern stand-up comedy. I said, Lenny Bruce as well, and guys like that. And he's like, oh, man, Lenny Bruce, I don't know anything about him. I'm like, dude, you should listen to his albums. There's a book called The Essential Lenny Bruce. If you read his bits, they hold up now. And he's like, oh, yeah, Richard Pryor's amazing, George Carlin. And he goes, people always want to know who's better. I go, it doesn't matter. They're just fucking geniuses, both of them. And he's like, oh, man, you really like comedy. And I go, yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah, I love comedy. I go all the time. And I said, oh, he goes, yeah, that I think you work with a comedian. And I said, yeah. I said, my brother's actually a stand-up comedian. And, I don't tell anybody anything. Because, again, I'm in the capacity of a rib delivery guy. So whatever the fuck I say, it looks like I'm a rib delivery guy pretending to be something else. Because right there in that moment, I'm a fucking rib delivery guy. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm always meant to go see his show. I heard he's great, man. He's so good. And I go, he is. He's really funny. And he goes, well, I don't know if I should trust you. You're his brother. And I go, well, no. I go, I'll tell you what. If you don't want to trust me as a brother, trust me as a comic. Because I'll tell you that he's funny. Because I felt like I had seen this guy enough, and he's always very nice, that I didn't mind kind of letting my guard down a little bit. So he's like, what? And I go, yeah, he and I are comics. He goes, that's crazy, in the same family? And I go, yeah. And he goes, and you work at the same place? And I'm like, oh, well, which probably shows you where our comedy is. And he laughed, oh, ho, ho, because I had made a self-deprecating joke in an alley. So he's like, oh, man, I got to come see you. And I go, well, I don't do a lot of shows. My shows that I do are out of town. I don't do a lot of local stuff. And he's like, oh, I'd love to hear your stuff, man. He goes, I heard your brother's really funny, but I'll take your word for it. But, I don't know where to find his stuff. I go, well, he's all over the web. And he goes, oh, yeah, I can check him out on the web. And I go, yeah. And I said, I have a podcast you could listen to. I go, it's a little different. I mean, it's not really stand-up. It's just me talking. I go, but I do also have stand-up shows that I've done. I got a CD and I got a couple of downloads that are available. He's like, really? He goes, oh, man, I'd love to hear those. And I go, I sell them on my website. He goes, you got a website? I'm like, yes, I do. I mean, I'm not just like some idiot talking. So he goes, hold on. And he staggers into his house and he comes out with a pen. And he goes, all right, I'm going to write this down. And I go, all right. You should probably have some paper if you're going to write it down. He goes, God damn it. He goes, all right, I'll just put it on my phone. Hold on. And he takes out his phone. And he goes, just tell me, all right, what do you... I go, well, here's the thing.
I go, the website is MikeSchmidtComedy.com. I go, but I'll tell you what, I'll hook you up. Do me a favor. If you send me an email, you can get me through the website. He goes, MikeSchmidtComedy.com. He starts typing it in. And I go, well, don't go there now. I got to go. I go, but. I go, if you want to go and check it out, there's a contact page. You can email me. If you email me, tell me who you are, I will send you one of the stand-up specials I did. And I wasn't going to send him Schmidt Alive 2 because he didn't need video. I was going to send him Schmidt Comes Alive, which I still have, of course, and you've heard. So he's like, oh my God, you would do that? I go, yeah. I go, I sell it for $5 on the website, but who cares? I mean, you know what? If this gets you interested and gets you listening to the podcast, I'll hook you, and I'll be happy to do it. He's like, that'd be so great. Dude, oh my God, yeah. Brother, come here. And he hugged me, of course, inappropriately, which is strange. And then, he tipped me like $18 for a $40 order, so I don't mind having some conversation with the guy. He's a nice guy on top of it. But he's just that kind of a bruiser guy. Yeah, hey, how you doing? Hit you in the chest. But a nice man. So I get home that night. I get nothing from him, and I know he was lit, so I'm not going to hear from him. So I go to work the next day. I come home, and I get an email, and it's from him because I recognize his name. And all it says, this should tell you everything you need to know about the guy. It just said, hey, brother, let's do it. That was the entire content of the email. Hey, brother, let's do it. Hey, brother in the header, let's do it in the body of the email. Hey, brother, let's do it. So I took his email address, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to send him Schmidt Comes Alive. And if he likes that, I'll send him Schmidt Alive 2, and he can get the CD. I'll bring him a CD. Fuck, I don't care. If he likes it, that's fine. So I send him Schmidt Comes Alive, and I write him, and I go, hey, man, thanks. I hope you like it, whatever. So this is like a month ago, and I haven't delivered to him since. So a phone call comes in the other day, and it's him. I wind up getting his delivery. So I head out to his place, and it's a tricky place to get to. You got to go through a back way, and like I said, meet him in an alley. You can't go to the front of his house. So I pull up. His garage door opens, and he walks out, and he is stone fucking sober. And I've delivered to him probably 8 times, and this is the first time he hasn't had an adult beverage or a cocktail in his hand. And he walks out, he goes, hey, how are you? And I said, hey, what's happening? And I say his name, and he's like, good. And he shakes my hand, he goes, what I owe you? And I told him, and he started to get his money out, and he says, hey, yeah, I got that download you sent me. I said, oh, okay. I go, did you actually download it and watch it? And I know he did, because I don't know if he knows that I know, because I can see who downloads. Doesn't mean he listened to it. But I said, did you get to download it? He goes, oh, yeah, I listened to it. That's good shit, man. I go, yeah? And he goes, yeah. And, yeah, he goes, it was pretty good. But I could see it was just weird. Because I wasn't going to ask. I wouldn't have ever brought it up again. He goes, yeah, that's good shit, man. That's pretty good. I go, great. And he goes, all right, well, I'm going to tip you this. He goes, well, here's the money. And he goes, and this is for you. And I said, thanks. And he goes, yeah, so, I'm glad you sent that. I said, well, good. I'm glad you were able to download it. And he goes, yeah, and you know what? Keep it up. You'll get better. Keep it up. You'll get better. As if it wasn't bad enough. I could tell, because he was sober and he wanted nothing to do with me. He's just like, hey, brother, how are you? Okay, well, good to see you. And it was in the air. It hung there. I wasn't going to say anything. And then he's like, yeah, I was able to download that thing you sent. Yeah, that's pretty good shit. Keep it up. You'll get better. Well, thank you, half in the bag real estate salesman. I'm glad you think I'll get better at my craft. I'll tell you this, the one thing I'm really good at is bringing you ribs. So I'm going to be doing that for a long fucking time. The last fucking thing I hope to do is get better at stand-up. But I tell you what, if I do get better at stand-up, I will send you a copy to make sure that you give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down with those callus-laden working man's hands of yours. If you can drop a drink long enough to fucking give me the thumbs up. Jesus Christ, keep it up. You'll get better. And honestly, I almost want to name the fucking show that, but I can't, and I won't. But
literally, this show starts as a tiny snowball, and at the end, the hundreds are dead at the bottom of a ravine. I get that. Believe me, if there's any show in the history of the world that does not need to be transcribed for posterity, it's this one. I like when nobody can see the seams. I like when I'm able to kind of just, fly with the bees wherever. When I have to actually stop the bees and ask for directions, that's not fun. I just like unleashing the bees, but when the bees have to stop in mid-flight and we all have to kind of look at each other and bust out a fucking map, that's not fun at all. I want to saddle up these bees and ride, goddammit! I'm done.